man.
Did it happen while it was on?
No, I don't think so. Okay.
Saving America one mind at a time. This is Smith Radio. And now, your hosts, Carrie and Brian Smith.
Much of what you see and hear on the following program may be shocking and upsetting to you. But if you will listen calmly and with an open mind, you may discover the key to the peace of mind and joy for which you've been searching all of your life.
This is painful. This really and truly hurts.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Smith Radio. Your host, Brian Smith and
Carrie Smith.
Giving you all the late breaking news of Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Kind of wrapping up last week, telling you what you didn't hear, what you should have heard, making sense of it all, giving our espousing our opinions, and telling you. Smith Radio, your host, Brian Smith.
Whoa,
and Carrie
hey,
Smith.
Sorry about that.
The fake news that is the fake news. I'm listening to myself.
I'll get a little bit of an echo. You know, whatever.
That's all good. So today is June 11th, 2017. If you want to listen to us throughout the week, you can listen to us on iHeartRadio. I created a quick link for you. Go to iHeart.smithradio.com. Listen to us live every Sunday evening, 5 to 8 p.m. Eastern. Direct link to the live show is Smith Radio, SMYTH radio.info. That'll take you directly to the Spreaker page. Until we find another platform, that'll be it for now. Go to smithradio.com, and on the front page you can see the live button, red button at the top says go live. That'll take you to Spreaker as well. Or on the right-hand side, there's another red button, and it says iHeart, and that'll take you directly to the iHeart page. Please share us with your friends and your family, and we do have a Patreon account live and active.
Brand new
Patreon. If you don't know what Patreon is, because we do have some seasoned veterans that may be retired and they don't consider themselves seasoned veterans, but you are.
They just have experience. That's what it really.
They may not have never heard of Patreon before. Patreon.com. Patreon is a website to where we've created an account. You can go there and literally subscribe to Smith Radio. You can go ahead with your debit card, your Visa card, whatever, and say, I would like to donate $5 a week, $5 a month, $10 a month, $50 a month, whatever you feel is in your capacity to give. We do this completely free. We've been doing this for 4 straight years unpaid. Now we have a platform and a possibility to receive some kind of compensation. So go to patreon.com/Smith Radio and subscribe. That would be an incredible honor. It would be an honor to us and motivation for us to continue to tell you all about the real news that's going on.
So speaking of news, what happened this week? One of the big things, we're going to start this off because we have a special guest on, returning actually to the show. And basically there's news that, you know, the Comey thing is all over the news, right?
Who?
The FBI director. He's all over the news.
The fired guy?
Yeah, the fired guy. And basically what it boils down to is one of the first big news items that came out about this whole Comey Gate thing was whether or not there were tapes recorded by Trump. And, you know, to see, you know, it's possible that he could have gotten, you know.
Well, Trump said, you better hope there ain't no tapes, my man. Yeah, Trump said that. So if Trump said hopefully there are no tapes, then it makes us wonder, are there tapes? Is there fakeness? What's going on? And a good friend of the show,
Jack Posobiec.
And if you don't follow Jack on Twitter, you absolutely should, at Jack Posobiec. And
he claims that he has some insider information that these tapes that were alleged are actually true. And joining us on the show now is Jack. Can you hear us okay?
Hey, Carrie, how you guys doing?
Oh,
I
good.
hear you guys great. It's amazing. You're so loud. I had to turn it down a little bit. Your truth was just so powerful.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, okay, great. So we have the tapes possibly that were recorded at the White House, and so I was going to see. I saw that there was a tweet There was a tweet that said that you might know something about this. What's the story with?
Yeah, exactly. So we've heard about these tapes for a long time. President Trump's first tweet on that was quite a while ago, and he was in specific reference to the New York Times paper stating, Comey better hope there's no tapes of our conversations.
Right.
So I reached out to a contact at the White House who's been pretty good and always been a good source for me, always giving me good material, always giving it to me straight. And I didn't specifically ask about James Comey, but I said, does Trump tape his Oval Office meetings? He said, absolutely.
Okay.
So
now, I'll tell you this. I will tell you this. I'm kind of a little bit of an American history buff, especially around the Cold War era. And one thing you'll notice, especially with like the JFK Cuban Missile Crisis and all that kind of stuff, it was around 2000, I think, maybe 1999, where they released, they dumped a ton of audio from the Oval Office, the West Wing, and all this kind of stuff, where all these conversations were taking place at the highest level with the most top secret information being discussed. It was all being recorded, and then when they released it in 1999, there were documentaries made about it, there were movies made about it. The 13 Days was
13 Days.
Yeah, 13 Days was a movie that was created because of the audio dump. Basically, they dumped all the audio of the White House stuff. And so, of course, my thought is yes, of course, they're always recording the White House conversations, whether or not they come out within 70 years.
In the White House is not something that's unprecedented. In fact, not recording is. Ben Rhodes has been very open about Barack Obama recording in the White House, George W. Bush recording in the White House. Bill Clinton, of course, did not record in the Oval Office for obvious reasons.
I could imagine. No, I don't want to imagine. It's kind of scary.
No, we don't need to imagine.
Oh, gosh. Too much information. No. Yeah, so everybody's acting like that this is like something really bad or unprecedented, and you're right, it's unprecedented that there may not be recordings. But there is one thing, though, I think, and I'm just guessing here, but it's based on just what I'm seeing, that these tapes would be completely on lockdown until like 50 years later, and then they would release them to the public many years later, just like they did with the JFK tapes. So for them to be able to play these publicly from the Trump administration, I would consider that unprecedented. What do you think about that?
Unless Trump authorizes it.
I mean, would he even be allowed to? I guess he'd be allowed to if he wanted to, wouldn't he?
Well, as the president, he can declassify and release whatever he wants.
Correct.
Right. Yeah. So I guess if he just said, you know what, we're going to release these tapes, he would be able to do it.
Right. The danger is that would then set a precedent. And I think you get every, 2-bit hack New York Times journalist, New York Times is out there attacking me today. They would wait for every single meeting that takes place in the Oval Office and request transcripts, request everything. We want a tape of this, we want a tape of that. And then they'd start hitting him. Why haven't you released this tape? Why haven't you released that tape?
Right. It would become this battle of what kind of propaganda can we put on the public? If he's able to select and choose just excerpts and stuff like that to release the public, I could see where it would be kind of like a slippery slope, I guess.
Exactly.
So do we know the details of the tapes? Do we know who's telling the truth? I mean, it seems like, judging from what we know of Trump, and obviously we're biased, that he wouldn't just say something that wasn't true. And if he had it on tape, if there was a tape that existed, I would guess that it would vindicate Trump.
The narrative that I heard, and again, this is biased as coming from the White House, but that the reason Trump tweeted about it but didn't release it was that so that Comey then couldn't turn around and make up stuff in his hearing if he intended to do so.
Right. Well, not only that, but it also put Comey in check, if you will, if you're playing a game of chess, kind of put Comey in check in the sense that, oh, damn it. Maybe there probably is. There are always tapes.
Right.
Just something that kind of thrown out there like Trump does. Hey, just a little heads up. You know how we do here in government, and you know, there's probably some kind of audio laying around. So
right.
Be careful.
I mean, I think it's funny that people are acting like all these different things. They're viewing and interpreting and judging things based on different paradigms. Like, for instance, people act shocked that there could be audio recordings of conversations in the White House, because if that happened in your own home, that would be shocking, because you're not allowed to really do that in most states. I know that D.C. allows it. I think Georgia allows it. I'm trying to think of who all is all the states that are that you're allowed to record as long as you're present when the recording happens. And so I think it's odd that they judge recordings in the White House under that same paradigm, like,
yeah, they immediately start clutching the pearls.
Yeah, and it's just like, come on, guys. I mean, and they do this. They've been doing this all the time. This idea that Donald Trump has to let Comey be independent and let the entire Department of Justice do their own thing and be completely independent of Donald Trump or the rest of the executive branch is silly. It would make sense if this was like an investigation of like a police chief or something like that, maybe. But Donald Trump is the chief of the entire executive branch, and this is only, the FBI is only part of it.
So it's funny you mentioned that, Kerry. I made that point myself on Twitter about a month ago. The New York Times writes up a story in today's edition calling me a conspiracy theorist for essentially laying out the constitutional role of the executive.
Yeah, I think that these experts that you see, and I'm not talking just, these pundits that they drag off the streets and put them in front of a camera on CNN. I mean, it seems like everybody that you talk to, that I think former FBI directors have actually said this in interviews recently, where they kind of just, the rules of the day are whatever the precedent that has been set recently is. And so they talk about how, well, in general, you want to kind of give the Department of Defense a lot of, leeway and a lot of separation, so that way they can be independent and all this. But that's not really what the founders intended, right? It was like, you have 3 branches of government. There's your independent branches right there. And whatever, I actually did a scope this morning, and I don't know if anybody listening got a chance to hear it, but basically what I said is that if we have the right to not incriminate ourselves in the Fifth Amendment, we're not allowed, or we're allowed to not incriminate ourselves. We don't have to give testimony against ourselves. We also don't have to voluntarily offer up evidence against ourselves. We don't have to do that. Then why is it that Donald Trump has to allow his own department that is under his own control gather evidence against him? It's not up to his department to oust him and to put together the evidence to impeach him. It's just up to the legislative branch to put together an impeachment trial, right?
Yeah, and I think the big hammer came down with Alan Dershowitz, of course, not exactly a member of the alt-right, coming out today and saying that the president, as the chief of the executive branch, has full and complete purview of any executive branch agency, period, under the Constitution.
Yeah. I'm glad you brought that up. Alan Dershowitz just absolutely slamming the left with knowledge. It almost sounded like maybe that's just the mode he gets in. He likes to, beat people down, show people down, just kind of get on top of them type of thing. But it almost seemed like he enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was actually pretty funny. It was him just because he's right in his element. He's got an adversary, in this case, the left, the media, whatever you want to call it, the globalists, who are just completely wrong and are trying to stand on a pin that they're completely wrong about, saying that there was obstruction of justice when nothing further from the truth could have happened.
Yeah,
what might actually be instructive of justice was what Comey mentioned about Loretta Lynch, which I think is actually getting a little bit more play now. Even Dianne Feinstein saying this morning that Loretta Lynch needs to be investigated. We're calling it #ComeyGate.
Yeah, I like that. I love the hashtag because it finally puts the spotlight on the correct people. I know that there was this Trump-Russia hashtag, which I don't think really caught on very well. There was Russiagate, but the problem with Russiagate is that there's a lot of middle class lay people out there that don't really pay attention to it as much as we do, that just understand that Donald Trump is under investigation by the FBI for helping the Russians hack the election. And so when you hear Russiagate, it does kind of get itself attached to the Trump campaign and now the Trump administration, whereas Comeygate is now like, ooh, what did Comey do? So I really love that they've flipped the
reason
script.
Trump Russia never took off, or Russiagate, was because it makes no sense. I mean, imagine if Hollywood put out a movie trying to explain all the various conspiracy theories and conflicting statements that the Trump-Russia people have made. It wouldn't make any sense.
Right. You can't make a movie about this, and you cannot name one of your characters reality winner. That's just not going to work.
Oh.
You could. You absolutely could. And you could also not pay the IRS. Ask Willie Nelson about that one.
Right. You just can't get away with it. You just can't get away with it. So
I don't want to get off on a tangent on that one, but jeez, what kind of name is that? It has to be made up.
Well, I mean, she has a sister or something named Sarah Winner. So I don't know. But anyway, so yeah, can you hear me? I can hear you. Did we lose him? Can you hear me? Doop, we lost him. Doop. That's okay.
Dude, that was us talking about reality winner.
I want to give him a call right back real quick because I want him to tell us about... You there, Jack? Yeah. Before we let you go, I want to call you back real quick. You got a new book out. I think. Is he there? He must have a bad connection.
He's got to tell us about the book. There he is. Got to tell us about the book, Jack. About the book.
No? Oh, come on. Boo. All right. Well, Jack Posobiec has a book out, and I'll work on that. You got Skype open?
I do.
Okay. Yeah, so we're gonna get back with Jack one of these days and make sure that that you guys get. We're gonna link a tweet to his book, and you're gonna hear a lot more about it because I'm sure he's gonna make the rounds. And I wanted to talk more about what the book was about. So, I'm gonna text him real quick to let him know that if he wants to call back in to tell us about the book, he can do that. But anyway. So we have another guest on today, which is kind of interesting because different platform, right? If you can find him.
Oh, I got him right here, Hunter.
Okay.
Yeah, Hunter Avalon.
Yeah, Hunter Avalon is, we probably have to plug it in. So, stand by, everybody, while we do our little...
Good Lord. So Hunter Avalon is a pretty big guy, if you will, on YouTube. Does a lot. He's young. He's millennial, and does all these YouTube channels, videos on his YouTube channel at Hunter Avalon. Really good stuff. Cracking and making fun of the media, making fun of the left.
And he does a really great job.
It's easy to do.
So we're trying to call him anyway. He has a he's on right now, except he didn't answer the old line. Give him a call again. All right. So anyway, Hunter Avalon is on YouTube. He is followed by a lot of people. It's like 250,000 people, I think, last time I checked. And he does these videos that are similar to your Ray William Johnsons and all that kind of stuff. And it's hilarious. He does the editing. He doesn't do it live. So he tries to keep them relatively short. I think a lot of the videos that I've seen are probably about 11, 12 minutes long, which is like the maximum that you want.
He did a real short video just the other day, maybe about 2.5 minutes long, hysterical about T-shirts.
Right.
And I think
everyone.
I think we got him. Hunter, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you guys. Can you guys hear me okay?
Oh, yeah, extremely good.
Awesome.
Make sure that your levels are okay. So,
Okay.
So we have Hunter Avalon on. So how's it going?
It's going good, man. Thanks for having me on.
All right. So tell us about yourself. We were kind of giving a little bit of a rundown, but I think you'd be able to give us a little bit more about yourself than we could. You are on YouTube. How long have you been on YouTube?
I've been on YouTube for a while now. I used to do a different channel with my siblings. The videos were really cheesy and not political or anything. But I've been doing the channel I'm doing now since late 2014, but it really didn't pick up or become relevant at all till very, very like a little bit at the end of 2015, and then 2016 was when I had my viral hit, and since then it's just kind of blown up.
So you kind of were able to make a come up off of like a video just kind of rode like a wave of success or something?
Well, what happened was I jumped on the like bashing feminism bandwagon right at the right moment.
That's always fun. That's always fun. Love that. Love that.
Yeah, I still bash feminism. It's still like a fan favorite. My next video is actually going to be on feminism, just because I like to keep the fans happy. And
now,
it's
does that mean you hate women? Because we got to get that out of the bag right now.
No. I'll give you the heads up, because I watched your T-shirt video.
Okay.
And he could not. He said that no woman would come on, so he did the female. Like, put the woman's picture up, and then he did the voiceover.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, well, I mean, that was kind of a joke. I didn't even ask any women to come on.
Dude, it was hysterical. I couldn't stop laughing. Dude, that was hysterical.
You could have got a woman on, probably, I guess.
I could get many women on.
You got to do a casting call. Do the casting call. Get a whole lineup. So anyway. Feminism. A lot of people, they hear, oh, you're not a feminist, or you're anti-feminist. You got to hate women. Is that true?
No, I mean, feminism is no longer even. What's honestly happened is at one point feminism was definitely needed in this country. Women weren't given equal rights. But what happened is feminism has achieved the goals necessary. So once the goal was achieved, feminism should have just gone away. But it hasn't. It's still here. So now feminists are struggling to find some reason that they are oppressed to keep feminism alive. So that's why we see ludicrous things happening, people claiming that feminists, I think it was 2015, claimed that air conditioning was sexist because it was set in a specific way that men were comfortable but women weren't.
Wow.
String cheese was apparently sexist because they sold a packaging that said like fat-free or something, and somewhere along the lines it was communicated that was only for women. I don't know what they're talking about.
Oh, because it's fat-free.
Yeah, exactly. But it's just, what's happened is feminism is no longer necessary, and so feminists are trying really hard to find some way that they're oppressed so that they can keep feminism alive.
Well, it's the same thing with Jesse Jackson and Al Sharpton. If they don't keep racism alive, they'll be out of a job.
Yeah,
exactly.
It sounds like
it's just become profitable for them.
Yeah, well, mainly a big thing, I think, just based on the way you were describing it, especially with the victimhood thing, is that it's a leftist thing, right? They got to make the victims in order to keep that leftist ideology going, and to
exactly. I talked a little bit about this in a recent video, and I was using it for an example for the left, but it could easily be used for feminism. Is feminists need to make victims so that they can continue to offer themselves as the antidote and continue their movement.
Oh yeah, it sounds something like the government does. They ruin something, promise to fix it, and then ruin it some more. But folks, you're listening to Smith
that
Radio.
Could even be it.
Yeah, absolutely. You're listening to Smith Radio, and we got Hunter Avalon on, and we're talking to him about
politics, everything. Yeah.
Visit him on YouTube. Subscribe to his channel, Hunter Avalon, Avalon.
There's 2 L's, right?
Yes, it's Avalone, but on YouTube, if you just type in Hunter A, I should be the first result.
All right,
awesome.
Excellent. And if you listen to us live on Sunday evenings, 5 to 8 p.m. Eastern, you can actually join the chat, the chat line. Go to smithradio.info, and we've got we've got the usual suspects, if you will. We've got Kekistan Rose, Vanessa, Sam Keels, and DJT has joined us as well. Thanks to see you again, DJT. But Kekistan Rose said, I thought it was women that got hot flashes, not men, so wouldn't AC be anti-man?
Interesting thought. Never thought of that, but I guess that's.
I was thinking when you said the AC thing, I was thinking, so guys will turn the AC extremely cold,
right?
But what it is
for the women to walk. Maybe
Go ahead.
So if a woman walked into a really cold room, maybe something physical might change on them.
Well, they don't get hot flashes until they're in their 40s.
The reason they were claiming it was sexist is because this was about air conditioning in office buildings.
Oh.
And they were saying it's sexist because men have their nice suits on and cold, but when women show up in their skirts, they are cold. Like, you guys are honestly putting more thought into it than the feminists did.
Well, they should be dressing a little bit more appropriately.
Wow. Bring back uniforms.
Something like that. I don't know.
Anyways, so let's get your take. It's another thing. You're on Twitter, right, Hunter?
No.
Wait. Why are you not on Twitter?
Because I was looking for you on Twitter, man.
I got banned several times. I've been banned.
That just goes to show you what kind of videos you might be encountering when you get to YouTube. It's a little bit edgy. Okay,
so and I know you've got an opinion on this, and this kind of goes with everything we've been talking about a little bit, but definitely we're talking about you right now, Hunter Avalon. You've had issues with Twitter for whatever reasons, please explain, and you've also had issues with monetizing videos on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
And what is that all about?
Well, yeah, let's hear the Twitter part first, because this is interesting. Because I've never been banned before, but I know so many people who have.
Well, Twitter's honestly working to become just a big safe space for special snowflakes at this point.
Yeah.
If you look at how many people are verified on the site, they're all pretty much like leftist idiots. Who are just like spouting a lot of propaganda and a lot of crap. And I was looking at them and I'm like, these are the kind of people that Twitter is verified. Now, true, they do have some, strong conservative opinions verified as well, but they are very much trying to make their platform into like a safe space for the special snowflakes. So anytime someone's saying something that can be a little bit offensive or edgy, they're banned.
Interesting.
Now, what I did that I think got me banned was if someone had maybe 2 brain cells and couldn't tell, like, didn't even read into the context of some of the tweets I made, they could have been taken, and I hate to admit this, but they could have been taken as a threat of violence. However, I never advocate for violence. My videos don't advocate for violence.
Right.
Nothing I say on Twitter I ever advocate for violence. I was talking about another YouTuber, and I was talking about, I think I used the word destroying him, but I meant in a response video. Everyone knew that. So, yes, maybe if some really sensitive little pansy saw it, they may have thought that I meant I was going to destroy them, I guess, physically. It didn't even seem – you would have to be really, really stupid to think that it was actually a threat of violence.
I totally get that because I destroy snowflakes on Twitter all the time, but I've never actually said I just destroyed you or I'm going to destroy you. And I'm sure now I'm glad that you told your story because that might have just saved me from getting banned.
Right. Well, I mean, look at the whole thing that went down with Milo.
I want to bring attention. I hate to cut you off, but I just really quick want to finish that. Sure. What I was saying is I want to bring attention to this specific individual, both on Twitter and on YouTube and even Instagram, who has a monopoly over the internet. I'm doing my best to expose this individual.
What?
Okay. All right.
Breaking news.
Yeah, his name is Riley J. Dennis. You can find his YouTube channel. The name I call him is a bit offensive. I don't know if it's appropriate for radio.
Probably not.
I think it's probably fine. I call him Trailer Park Tranny. He looks like
that's totally appropriate. So
he looks like a trailer. He looks like a transgender who came out of a trailer park. He's an obvious man.
I got a hell of a visual on that one.
Trailer Park
just
Tranny.
Go online and Google Riley Dennis. He's the first result. He looks like a freak.
Is it how do you spell the Riley?
It's Riley Dennis, Dennis, Riley Dennis. And what's weird is this. So he's obviously a man. He's gone through no attempt at changing hormones, and he's even admitted that he does not suffer from gender dysphoria, which is essential to even getting transgender operation.
Correct.
All this man has done is grown his hair out and put on eyeliner, and then he claims he's a woman. And even more funny, he's dating a woman himself. So they claim they're lesbians. I mean,
we've done this on this show. Remember back in the day, there was this the big news was being able to identify as a black person or being able to identify as a woman or whatever. Mm-hmm. And our big joke is that we are lesbians identifying as a woman attracted to women. And that's what we're going to do from now on.
For today, I might change my mind for tomorrow.
Right.
Yeah, you're just gender fluid, and that's fine. I respect your pronouns.
Thank you for your tolerance.
Thank you, yeah. But this guy, Riley Dennis, he somehow has a monopoly over the internet. And when I say that, I'll explain why. And it's going to start – it sounds creepy. It almost sounds like a conspiracy, but I don't see how else I can – what else makes sense? First of all, on his Twitter, he has 7,000 Twitter followers and was verified. I applied for verification on Twitter before I was suspended. I had 14,000 followers, and I was rejected.
Right.
We're still not verified. It's
there's no way it's going to happen.
They're super stupid about verifying people. So they verified Riley before they verified me, even though I have a much larger following. And the individual that I was talking about destroying was Riley Dennis. That was my second to last tweet before the next morning I was suspended.
So he did. Right after, he's the squeaky wheel, I guess, that got the grease.
Yeah. So then, shortly after, get this. Both my response videos done to Riley Dennis, and yeah, I mean, I called him some names because, I mean, the guy's a freak, but I called him some names, but I mostly just debunked his video. Both those videos were deleted by YouTube. YouTube then deleted both those videos. So obviously I was a little bit pissed off about that. So I went on my Instagram and posted that, those videos got removed, and I was really mad. The next day, that Instagram post was removed by Instagram.
Wow.
So
this guy's got some power.
I was getting super frustrated. And so recently, I kind of stopped mentioning him for a little while. Also, it's my other Twitter accounts that mentioned him were suspended as well. My recent ones were just suspended because Twitter, I think, has my IP address saved, so they know to just suspend me almost instantly.
No.
And then, so recently, I took a picture of Riley Dennis, and then I put a picture of myself, and I posted on my Instagram, and I captioned it, "Which man is hotter?" Because it's kind of like
because he looks like a girl, right?
Well,
except for his Adam's apple.
Yeah, his Adam's apple's bigger than his penis, honestly. And so I posted it on my Instagram. A few days later, that post was removed. Again, I'm pissed off. So I post, look at this, how stupid this is that this guy got my post removed. I call him a name again, whatever. The next day, that post is removed.
Oh my god!
Every mention you make of this guy gets removed. And on
Maybe he's in the
Instagram,
Secret
he has
Service.
he has a mere 2,000 followers versus my 32,000. On Instagram, he has 31,000 on YouTube, he has 31,000 subscribers versus my nearly 280,000.
So if you were to share this audio, this show, it'd probably be deleted.
Well, I wouldn't go that far. I mean, it's not.
Spreaker's pretty good though. They're good with the freedom of speech and all that kind of stuff.
It's not that crazy. It's just that I feel like any mention I make of the guy gets deleted, and it's just weird. I mean, even a much bigger YouTuber, his channel's Leafy is here. He has 4 million subscribers. Did a response video to Riley Dennis, and this guy roasts people all the time. Only his Riley Dennis video was removed.
This guy must have friends in high places.
And the weirdest thing is, it's not like I'm just bullying someone for being trans. I'm bullying, well, I don't really want to consider what I'm doing even bullying. I'm trolling this guy because he's a complete idiot. I mean, this is a guy, a man, who will claim if you don't date a transgender person, then you're a bigot.
Yeah, that's a problem.
Yeah, so if I'm a straight man who doesn't want a penis, then I'm a bigot now because he's transgender. I mean, it's honestly absurd. It's ridiculous.
Right. It's weird the way
he's been bashed by the Blaze. I mean, there's been a lot of big news sources that have bashed him. He's universally hated. Virtually every video he posts has more dislikes than likes.
So you saying he got recognized by the Blaze?
Oh yeah, the Blaze did a hit piece on him. I mean, that's how insane he is.
I gotta give him
big. That's
I gotta
big
give him credit to catch them on their radar. That's pretty amazing.
I'm doing my best to expose him. And then I got so fed up with this guy, I made my own website where I could post hit pieces about him and things and not have to worry about it getting removed because I controlled the website.
Right. What is it called?
And then it's called hunteravalone.site11.com. It was just a free thing. It's really corny. But I actually had a screenshot sent to me. It was actually sent to another YouTuber, Roaming Millennial, who then sent it to me, and I posted on the website, of him actually bragging about getting videos removed. It was on his private Facebook, but I made sure to leak it. And I have it right here. He wrote, "Spent the entire day watching videos of people calling me a stupid, regressive, snowflake, tranny, faggot, retarded SJW so that I could compile a list of channels that harass me," which it's not really even harassment, "so that I can make the argument to YouTube that we have to do something about it." So he's essentially saying he spent all day watching videos that were replying to him so that he could present it to YouTube to get them removed.
Wow, this guy sounds like a busybody. That's just a shame.
It's weird. It's creepy because I don't think anyone with that small amount of subscribers should even have that much power.
Yeah, that is. Well, like I said just a minute ago, I think it sounds like he has friends in high places. We know a guy who was able to call up the White House and get somebody's press credentials removed, and this guy doesn't have a huge following. He's got a big following, but not huge, and he's not famous or anything. And it turns out
nobody would know if we said his name. Nobody would know him really.
Right.
I didn't know who he was.
Yeah, I'm not going to mention his name. A lot of people don't know him. He's definitely kind of an underground person that's kind of got that cult following. But the point is that he's got a friend that's close enough to him that when he calls up the White House and says, "Hey, do this. Hey, don't do this," they take it under advisement. So, it might be a situation like that, but I'll have to look into this guy because I'm the type of person that I get my entertainment off of just going on a total troll quest myself. So I'm actually curious to find out more
he's
about
so
this
much
guy.
fun to troll, honestly.
Well, I just hope I don't end up getting banned about it, but
Okay, well, let's talk about some of the things that interest you. What are some of the, like you said, you've got a new video coming out here probably fairly soon? Mm-hmm. And
Either probably tomorrow or Tuesday.
Okay.
I just kind of post whenever throughout the week.
all right, and so what will that theme be about?
Well, like I said, I'm going to try to do. I've been dealing with a lot of very serious subjects lately. With all the terror attacks going on, I usually try to get a video out on that. So I've been talking a lot about like Kathy Griffin, a lot about Islam lately, just because Islam has been so relevant, sadly. So I really want to just kind of take a step back, go back to a little bit of my roots, and just put some more entertaining content out.
okay.
So it's just going to be So BuzzFeed a couple months ago released a song that they turned into like feminist propaganda. So I'm basically just going to watch it, make fun of it.
Because just FYI to those of you folks that are listening, maybe you're new. We've got a lot of new listeners. BuzzFeed is fake news.
Oh, absolutely.
Paid propaganda.
BuzzFeed's really bad.
Yeah.
I wish I could remember what I just saw. I saw them tweet something out, and even the way they tweeted it wasn't exactly correct, and you could tell like it was a slight change of words that like changed the story. I wish I could remember what it was.
Yeah, I do that sometimes. I tweeted out that Comey just got a $10 million book deal.
Yeah, literary
Really?
agent. Yeah, literary
Yes.
agent has confirmed green light $10 million book deal.
Yeah, so what I tweeted out was Comey plans on writing a $10 million book from his prison cell. So, because that's if justice be done, that's where he's going to have to write it, which is fine. And when he gets out of prison, then he can get it, spend his $10 million or whatnot. But yeah, that's an obscene amount of money. I was really happy for Milo Yiannopoulos when he got the $250,000.
Yeah,
And then they pulled it back from him because they got scared. Because the social justice warriors were
he got because of those controversial remarks he made. That was the first
right.
time he apologized.
Yeah,
but actually, I don't know if you saw he self-published the book, and within hours of posting the pre-order, he was, I believe, #1 on Amazon and beat Chelsea Clinton's book already.
Yeah, you got to stop that. You got to shut that down.
Right? Who in the world's going to buy Chelsea Clinton's book? I mean, she's the daughter of the most irrelevant woman on earth right now. It's just ridiculous. I can't even imagine. You're the daughter of a former president that at this point nobody really cares about anymore. So
I know.
But anyway,
Monica Lewinsky is more famous than Bill Clinton at this point.
Gosh, that's true. I didn't even think about that. That's
What?
kind of sad. Monica
Lewinsky should write a book.
I thought she did, didn't she? Didn't she write? I'm sure she wrote some. She made her rounds on Oprah and all that stuff.
She can make a good title too, like I don't know, Why the Democrats Suck or something.
No, here's her problem. Dude, here's her problem. She's still in love.
That's true. That's true.
Bill Clinton was the first love of her life.
That is
Was he actually, or are you being sarcastic?
No, she was in love with him.
She literally thought that him divorcing Hillary and her being the wife was possible.
Was like in the cards for her.
Yeah, it's a possibility. Dude,
That's really sad.
She was really young, like super young. Like, what was she, 19 or something? 20?
Early 20s.
Really,
I don't know.
Really young at the time. So she was obviously easily manipulated, and the power of the president of the United States, and he abused that.
I mean, you're in the Oval Office, dude.
Yeah. It's
Dude.
Dude,
come on.
Yeah, he's really taking advantage of the power he had, it sounds like.
Yeah.
Hey, really quick, guys, where do I go to read the chat?
When you go onto Spreaker.com, if you're on the actual show, there is a little. It looks like a comments.
Okay,
button.
hold on. Back up. Smith, SMYTH, smithradio.info.
Right.
Yeah, I'm at Spreaker.com/user/SmithRadio right now.
Good.
Okay, so the top one should be the live one. And when you
red.
click on that.
Oh, yeah, Trump vindicated by Comey.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're going to get to that Comey thing here in just a second.
Absolutely. We just had Jack Posobiec on this morning, and man, bad connection. We got the whole story out, but then he wrote a book, and I think it's being released tomorrow or today or something like that. But he dropped off before we got a chance to promote the book, so we'll have to do that again sometime. But that was a shame. That was what he really wanted to do, was promote the book. So anyway, we're on with Hunter Avalon right now. And gosh, a lot of stuff happened this week. We have let's just go right into the Comey Senate hearings, the testimony. Mainly it was kind of the big news leading up to it was that he wrote these memos. All right. And it's kind of like a diary. If you remember way back in the day when it was a big deal for the statutory rape or whatever, and there was a young girl or whatever, and then they would have a diary, and they would try to use the diaries of these young girls or whatever to as evidence in court, and it was struck down because anybody could write anything in a diary. It doesn't necessarily mean it actually happened or it's true. And that's kind of what came in my mind when I was thinking of these memos. So he goes and he writes in a diary that they want to conveniently call a memo, and that, classified information, it's government property since he was doing it on the job and all this kind of stuff.
He's keeping minutes, if you will, of conversations.
After the fact, though.
Are these the memos where he talked about he wrote notes right after he met with Trump?
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and so that was kind of some of the questions asked. That was one of the first questions asked was that what Brian's cracking up laughing.
On the message board, Kekistan, you're going to have to calm down a little bit, man. You're making me laugh.
Oh,
they're talking about book deals. He said, Monica, book titles, The Human Humidor.
Human. Oh, no. Yikes. Keeping those cigars moist, I guess. Anyway. Going back to what we were talking about. So the patronage relationship, that's the words that Comey used in his memos with regards to a conversation he had with Trump. He was looking for a patronage relationship, and he goes on to expand that this is he was asking for loyalty. And I don't know if you got a chance to hear that line of questioning and what you thought of. What do you think? I mean, you haven't been in the workforce very long, but when you're working for somebody, I mean, isn't it important to have loyalty to your boss? Because if not, you're kind of sending maybe not sending a message, but you're almost working against your boss if you don't have loyalty to your boss, right?
Well, yeah, but I think that it's against some law somewhere to ask for loyalty, because I believe the FBI is supposed to be nonpartisan.
Well, they may not be partisan, but they do. It is an absolute fact that they have to work. They do work for the president at the. Yeah. So, I mean, I look at it this way: just because of the relationship between the FBI director and the president, it's supposed to be that you're supposed to work for the president, and it doesn't matter who it is. It could be a Republican, it could be a Democrat, it could be a douchebag that nobody likes, that you don't like. If you're the FBI director, you could hate him. But if you can't pledge loyalty, you should almost resign, right? I mean, yeah, I would think so. I mean, I don't know. I think there's a lot of misinformation that's being thrown around. They're trying to make it sound like it's scandalous to ask for the loyalty, and I don't know why more people that are like us, who are getting on and doing commentary on conservative commentary on these news items, why they're not saying the same thing I'm saying. Like, everybody's kind of scared to say it. Like, oh, he shouldn't ask for loyalty. Well, actually, why not? That's my question. I don't know. What do you think?
Honestly,
Brian?
The loyalty thing, yeah, I mean, my aunt, he's a Democrat, brought that up, and I also didn't see that being a big deal. Of course, if it's actually against the law, or if it's against code or something, then that would be a big deal. The thing that honestly struck me the most with the hearing was where Comey pretty much absolutely confirmed that Russia hacked the election. Where Comey was like, yes, there shouldn't be any fuzz around this or something.
Do you have any doubt? And he said, nope, no doubt.
Yeah, and what I'm wondering is how did Russia hack the election? And what I'm seeing a lot of Democrats say is Russia purposely made fake news to sway people to vote for Trump. And I'm thinking, okay, well then what was the fake news?
Right. Well, they're trying to say that all these conservative website clickbait. I'll tell you what, this Hunter, my daughter is 11 years old. She just finished up with 5th grade. And they had an entire work assignment during one day at school about fake news. Literally, that was the title. Fake news.
This was hysterical.
Yeah, so my daughter brought it home and said, "Oh, you're going to like this, Daddy. It's all about fake news," because she hears me talk about it all the time. And I immediately, my antenna went up. I started sweating and thinking, what kind of propaganda are they doing to these kids, right? So I read through it, and it turns out...
He read it to me.
Yeah, I read it to Brian. It turns out...
Good, nighttime, bedtime.
Right, bedtime story. It turns out what they were talking about was clickbait and other types of articles that really don't pertain to what we do. But it's funny because when you hear CNN talk about it, they're specifically referring to us. But then when asked, well, what is fake news? Then they get into the clickbait stuff, the 10 commandments that God, or 10 things that God commanded his followers. Number 7 will shock you. Something like that.
Yeah.
That kind of clickbait stuff. Or, the camera crew was shocked when they realized the cameras were still rolling, and there's this picture of this voluptuous girl that's just about to bend over or something on the camera, and it's just all this clickbait stuff. And that's what they were trying to teach the kids. And they were trying to teach the kids, I think the biggest propaganda that was in this homework assignment was that they were trying to teach the kids how to identify fake news and how to judge the credibility of it. And they pointed out that, well, is it from a long-time reputable source such as, and they gave examples. They would say the New York Times. And it's oh, you got to be kidding me. So that was the worst part, is that here's the point. They did not say this is fake news and then point to Smith Radio or point to Your Voice America, or they didn't even bring up InfoWars or none of that stuff. But when they said... this is what you should be looking for to verify that it's real news, they use examples like New York Times. So they weren't defaming the ones that they would love to be able to say is fake news, even though it's not. So they can't give examples. They just say, hey, it's out there. And if you want to avoid it, you should be reading the New York Times. So that's...
which is then just their own propaganda again.
Yeah, I mean, it's totally ridiculous. So... Senator Reich asked about obstruction of justice. I think that's what they're going to try to go on. That's a really complicated situation. If they could try to say, well, by asking Comey that you hope that they could let the investigation against Flynn go, that could be construed as obstruction of justice because Comey could interpret that as an order to stop investigating a certain investigation.
But Trump never actually asked him to let it go. It was only implied.
Right, by saying the word hope. And then Senator Reich went on to say, has there ever been a conviction in the history of America where somebody was convicted of a crime that they hoped would happen, or that an order of something that they hoped to happen, instead of ordering it? In fact, he even asked, is this a directive? And he said, and Comey actually said, no, it's not a directive. So he kind of admitted. He admitted it's not a directive, but then he went on to say that by saying that you hope something happens, it's like Don Corleone from Godfather. I'm going to make him an offer that he can't refuse, which really means that you better not refuse it. It doesn't mean that you really shouldn't refuse it. It means if you do refuse it, you're going to be dead. that type of thing. And he was trying to say that when you're the president of the United States and you tell that your underling that you hope something's going to happen, you take that as meaning literally you better make it happen. That was what he was trying to do.
Which seems kind of weird.
Well, I don't know how that could stand up in the court of law. So I think that's what it boils down to. And also, we found out this week, Brian could probably verify this too, that the president can actually order the FBI director to stop an investigation
immediately.
Yeah, he's totally allowed to do that.
Yeah,
we just found that out this week because I was kind of wondering. I was like, is that really allowed? Is there some sort of a wall of separation between the president and the FBI?
No.
So that there's independence.
James Comey works for the president.
Yeah, so we found out this week that is actually the case because we have 3 separate branches of government. Hunter's just probably recently graduated a couple years ago. Brian and I went through schooling a long time ago, but it seems like there's like a misunderstanding amongst kids these days where they don't understand how literal the founders meant it with these 3 branches of government and they're separate but equal, that kind of stuff. And the FBI is a newer department, relatively speaking. The FBI came around in response to all the crime that was happening with prohibition. Yeah. So for over 100 years, we had no FBI. We had in America, we had the entire Constitution, we had everything, no FBI. And it didn't come about until they had to start fighting these international gangs, Italian mafia type stuff, where they were pushing the booze around and all that kind of stuff. So when prohibition was lifted, they started coming up with all these crazy ideas to keep it going. Like, how do we keep the FBI going? We have no justification for their existence anymore. And so they came up with making pot illegal and a bunch of other substances illegal.
I don't know if you've ever heard of this movie before, Hunter, but it's called Reefer Madness.
Have you heard of that one?
I actually haven't.
Okay, so it came out in 1935.
Yeah, way back in the day, the government...
It's a black and white propaganda film.
Right. The government came out with a film called Reefer Madness. It was all about marijuana, how people would smoke marijuana, commit suicide and murder and rape. And
they would literally go insane.
Yeah, you go insane.
That is
because
definitely not true.
It is... It's got a cult following. It's actually...
it's a comedy.
It is a comedy movie.
It wasn't meant to be. It was not meant to be a comedy. It was actually meant for people to watch it and buy into... It was a lobbying film, really. It was the lobby to make pot illegal. And it was... If you really stop and think about it, it's pretty obvious now, all these years later, that they did this to justify the existence of the FBI, because without prohibition... the mafia's kind of lost a lot of money and kind of got smaller, and it wasn't so much of a danger, and so they needed some reason to keep going. But anyway, so what people don't understand is that the FBI is just a part of the branch of the executive branch of government, and that the president has full reign over the whole thing. And that he can hire and fire, he can order. That's what an executive order is. An executive order is an order that everybody in the executive branch has to follow. And so if he makes an order to stop an investigation, the FBI director either has to do it or resign.
So check this out. I got a 10-second soundbite of the 4-hour Comey hearing. I got 10 seconds. It wraps up the entire... This is all you need to know, because I didn't watch it. I didn't watch the Comey hearing.
I watched it live. I listened to it live.
I had a job.
So did I. I just put in the earbuds. All right, anyway.
Here's the 10 seconds you need to know about the entire 4 hours.
I was a slightly cowardly way. I was also confused. I was honestly concerned. It was a surprise. It gave me a queasy feeling. I could be wrong. I could be wrong. I could be wrong.
That pretty much sums it up right there.
Yeah, it actually does.
So what did you think about his demeanor? Okay, so Hunter Avalon, who we got on the our guest here, he is what we would call a millennial, and there's been a lot of they've gotten a bad rap, I think. Millennials are considered largely what the snowflake, generation is. They're, I guess, pampered or whatnot, and they're kind of I don't know, the men would be considered kind of girly men or whatnot. So when you listen to the FBI director, cucks, yes, they could be cucks. When you listen to the FBI director, is that the first word that comes to mind? Is cuck?
Well, when I listened to some of Comey talking, I definitely didn't think of him as being a cuck. He actually came up as very well spoken to me. It's just some of the things he said just didn't seem to make sense. And I know I brought up the Russia thing already, but that was the biggest thing is when he said it. It's 100% sure there should be no fuzz around this or whatever. And I was thinking, how did Russia hack our election? And I don't know if you saw a recent clip. I know liberals will probably go crazy that I'm even bringing up a clip of what Vladimir Putin had to say about it. But Vladimir Putin actually made a good point as to why they didn't hack the election. I don't know.
The FBI. So
Sorry
it's
about
been
that.
reported to us.
Sorry about that.
Good God.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
Did you see the clip of when Megyn Kelly was interviewing Vladimir Putin?
I did, and Vlad, it seemed like he was getting extremely frustrated with her questioning and the line that she was going down. At one point, he took his earpiece off so he could keep his like his rant that he was going on. But go ahead.
But yeah, he kind of tore her apart anyway. But
Yeah, he did.
Whoa.
what he said was, presidents come and go, so why would they even have to hack the election? Like they already understand the process of America. And he also said there's a lot of places, other areas of the world that are claiming Americans hacked their election.
And I wouldn't doubt that. I mean,
Obama tried to hack the Israeli elections with Netanyahu.
yeah, he went there and tried to.
I'm just curious if let's just say that Russia did hack the election. How? How do they do? They didn't hack into the polling computers, did they? I mean, what are they trying to say? Hacking the election already sounds like a misconstrued or something, because if all the Russians did is pump out some fake news, well, big deal. There was fake news about Trump already circulating also.
Well, they were trying to make the mainstream media was trying to make the narrative that some of the electronic machines might have been hacked of sorts, but none of
They're
it's
not
connected
hooked up to the
online.
internet. Yeah,
and
it's
it's
not
just there's spies on the ground that are getting into the election and changing the votes. No, that's DNC operatives. That's the DNC on the ground changing the votes.
Yeah, well, not only that. Oh, I'll tell you what Comey said. Comey said that what the Russians did was put out information, and I think he may have even used the word fake news, that changed the thinking of the American voter into. Yeah, he actually said this in the. I'm sorry, I don't have the sound clip. If I had more time, I would have definitely had that clip ready to go to play. But he said that he feels like America was under attack because they were putting out information that was manipulating the voting preference of the American voter. And I think that is the most condescending, insulting thing that he could possibly say.
Yeah, how stupid does he think people are?
He thinks that we are complete monkeys, flat out.
I know.
Totally.
Monkey see, monkey. I mean, that's
right.
That's a problem that a lot of people having the left. It's very evident on the left. They always think, because you'll see this thing. That same logic could apply to things like why BuzzFeed will try to tell you people don't date black people because they're used to seeing white people in the media. That's another thing. They always want to blame the media or what we see, and it's this idea that humans are so stupid that we just see what's on TV and just instantly think, well, that's what's normal.
Right, and they use that to their advantage.
By that exact same logic, why aren't people jumping off buildings thinking they can fly after they watch Superman?
Yeah,
I mean,
I'm
people
telling
aren't so dumb that they're going to see one article that's bad about Hillary, that's fake news, and be like, "Oh my gosh, I guess I'm voting for Trump."
Well, and the bottom line is what really was the big thing that they're trying to say was hacked by Russia was the DNC servers, of the information of which nobody's disputing the validity of. So it's like we got dumped with truth, and they're upset that we've been manipulated to vote against Hillary because of facts that make her look like a douchebag.
Well,
yeah, and that's another thing that they say that WikiLeaks is Russia or something, and I'm thinking, well, WikiLeaks leaked some pretty bad stuff about Hillary, so yeah, maybe it was Like, how is that hacking the election when that's just sharing the truth about the other candidate?
Well, and here's the basic premise of this whole Russia thing. If we zoom back out, just get way far away to look at why is it Russia? Why will the DNC not let it go? Why will the libtards not let it go? Why will the GOP rhinos, Lindsey Graham, Misty, not let go of Russia? And the best person that I've seen, heard put it, was something that Carrie and I have talked about off show, but Rush put it in the way that is absolute stone. Conservative Americans nationwide in large groups have given Trump even more support now than ever before, voted him in. They know the numbers are out there. He was voted in by the very large majority of Americans who are conservative. With that being said, Democrats, Russia, conservatives don't like Russia. Well, we don't like the USSR. And it seems as though the Democrats have only one real card to separate Trump from his people, because he's taken to Twitter and they're hating on that because he's going direct to the people, is to make his followers, his voters, his constituents, his supporters, make them feel like he's in bed with Russia. Guys, wake up. Remember 1980s? Rocky Balboa? Come on, man. We were fighting the Russians, and USSR. And so trying to pin him as some kind of USSR, Russian communist supporter, colluding, to us that are normal thinking people that don't have the disease called liberalism, we can clearly see that that's insane and that it's not going anywhere. And
it's not, that's honestly, you're exactly right when you say it's not going anywhere. It's just like a giant circle at this point. It's like Russia. No, it's not Russia. Yeah, it is. It's Russia. I mean, they're not finding anything. There's nothing to suggest that Trump colluded with Russia to hack the election. And the way I see it is, okay, let's say that Russia did hack the election. If Russia hacked the election, then why on earth did Trump not win the popular vote?
Well, not only that, but like Carrie was telling me today, don't think that Carrie and I only talk these 3 hours. I mean, we talk 3 hours
Sometimes
every day.
We get on the phone and whatever. We looked at an ATV today, but anyway.
We looked at ATV today. So we were talking about Mark Levin brought up the fact, okay, let me tell you something, people.
I don't know. Hunter, do you ever listen to Mark Levin?
The voice sounds familiar, but I'm not too. I don't.
Carrie does the great job at it.
The great one, Mark Levin. So I listen to him because he comes on at 6, and there's like nothing on at 6. But he's the one that says, "Let me tell you something else, Mr. Producer. Everybody thinks that Obama." It always blows out the speakers too. Dude, I have to turn it up.
Yes.
So, but anyway, his premise was, let's accept that the Russians have totally infiltrated all the things that they needed in order to manipulate the election somehow, and the wrong person may have been elected president. Let's just accept that. And he didn't even word it that way. He just said, it happened. So he's setting up his listeners to believe that it really did happen. And the reason he did that was because then he goes on to point out that if this was happening, if it really happened, then who was in charge? Where was the FBI and the CIA during 2016 and 2015 when all this Russian manipulation and hacking and all this stuff was going on? What were they doing? How did they not protect our precious electoral system, our democratic system, in order to prevent the wrong person from being elected president? And then he goes on to point out that they were actually spying on American citizens. And that's what their main thing was, is to spy on conservative or Republican voters and try to mess with them in order to steal elections that way, and to hassle conservatives and to sick the IRS on them and all this kind of stuff. And meanwhile, they let the Russians hack the election, is what his premise was. And I thought that was kind of an interesting take. I know you didn't get a chance to hear that, but I mean, one way or another, it doesn't look good for them, right? For the Democrats. Either A, they're just lying about this, or B, if Russia did have a major impact on the election, then what the hell were they doing under the Obama administration?
Yeah, well, the way I see it is just like I just said, is if the Russians had such a major impact on the election, I think it would have been a little bit more evident. I mean, let's say if Trump got what do you remember the exact numbers? How many votes Trump got in total?
It was like 62 million.
100%.
100%. It was like
okay, so Trump got 62 million. Hillary
like
got what did she get? 65
I think
or something?
she beat him by like 3 million votes in the popular vote, something like that. Does that sound right?
So
yeah.
So if the Russians are hacking the election, that literally makes no sense because by the okay, so they're saying, yeah, the Russians spread around fake news to sway people away from Hillary Clinton. Well, if that's true, then how did Hillary still win the popular vote?
Right. Well, I guess they're so sophisticated that they knew that they only needed to win certain swing states. I don't know. It just seemed...
Come on. I mean, it's literally just... It honestly sounds like Democrats just being in denial that Trump won.
They're actually being children. I actually mentioned that in my Periscope earlier today, too. I actually coach little kids in wrestling. And little kids are little kids. It's just always going to happen because that's just the way they are. They get emotional if they lose, and they it's understandable when they behave improperly in those high stress situations. But you have your fathers who tend to be or can be the kind of dad that's like living vicariously through their son. And those are the ones that it's really bad news when they do this because it's really sad because then the kids pick up on it. But they'll make excuses for their son that they shouldn't be making, having come up short in a competition or something like that. And that's what it seems like here. It seems like a bunch of immature children not owning up to mistakes that were made, especially like nominating a horrible candidate. And other things.
Yeah, it sounds like they lost, and then they're just like, you cheated. I don't know how, but you did.
Yeah, because there's no way we lose because that's just wrong. And yeah, it's just so juvenile the way they're behaving. And it seems like they're getting some traction. Another thing they're doing, I believe, is impeachment is all about getting enough public support to get away with it. So if they know that
this place is cool.
I knew I shouldn't have done that. I knew I shouldn't have done that.
You gotta turn the volume down, dude.
No, it's CNN
volume. Anyway, sorry about that, Hunter. So, so if you get enough people to where if you got senators and congressmen to go along with an impeachment proceeding, that it won't hurt them politically, then I think they're going to go for it. And so what they're going to do is they're going to try to get people to either hate on Trump enough or to disapprove so that he has low approval ratings. The low approval ratings is actually a signal to Congress to let them know, hey, you guys have the green light if you want to go ahead and start this impeachment proceeding.
Right.
And then the actual numbers that are for impeachment that are in support of the senators and congressmen who would actually go through with this, that gives them the green light that they're going to be okay doing this. I think that's a lot of what they're doing. And this is all in conjunction with the fake news, your CNNs, your New York Times. They have to pump out this propaganda in order to move the needle. And if they can get that needle moved enough, then they could start talking about impeachment with impunity, really.
I don't know, though. I think the impeachment thing is not going to get any legs in any sense because the Democrats will quickly see that Pence is...
Yeah, but they might have
Pence can't be bought, though.
You don't think?
He's got an entire lifetime of
voting record.
Good old boy. And when I say good old boy, I mean like the Boy Scout, like the clean Christian going to church every Sunday and married to the same woman, never divorced, and got great kids. And he's got like that lifestyle. He doesn't cuss, he doesn't swear, he doesn't drink, he doesn't smoke.
Yeah, like the first thing he would do in office would like ban abortion, which of course that would send them through the roof.
Yes,
something like that.
So I don't think. Yeah, I don't think that's gonna garner any legs at all. But I've got a lot of sound bites here. We can get to a couple of them real quick. One thing we wanted to talk about. And this is something that Carrie and I talk about on the phone all the time. It's called the false premise.
Okay.
Comey can't lie on the stand.
Nobody can.
Nobody. Nobody.
If you lie under oath at a Senate hearing, you are going to prison.
Correct. However,
You're going to be in big trouble.
if you're a senator asking a question, or if you're just a senator making a statement, you could lie all day long.
Because they're not under oath.
It doesn't even matter. They do whatever they want.
But they do it really sneakily. I think we have a soundbite here that will illustrate it. And this is for everybody. You guys listening at home, this is the magic of lying in the Senate hearings. If you have it.
You have the President of the United States asking you to stop an investigation that's an important investigation. What was the response of your colleagues?
Okay, hold on.
I think they-
So you want the question? Do the question.
Yeah. Listen to this question again. Can you restart from the beginning?
Yep.
Yeah, listen to this question really carefully. And let me set it up for you real quick for the second time. This was an hour and 15 minutes into the hearing. This question
So
came.
it was deep.
This was after Senator Reich. This is actually Senator Feinstein that you're listening to talking. This was after Senator Reich was on there, where his line of questioning completely debunked that he was being directed or ordered or told to stop the Flynn investigation by Trump. This was after. So that already happened. The idea that obstruction of justice happened by ordering him to stop the investigation was debunked by Senator Reich. The next person up was Senator Feinstein, and this was her question.
You have the President of the United States asking you to stop an investigation that's an important investigation.
Okay, it's an important one.
But she just said you have a President of the United States asking to stop an investigation. Which is important.
Which everybody
When he
knows
didn't
that he
ask
did.
that, right?
That is correct. There you go, Hunter.
And
That is correct.
It happened after a previous questioner, a senator, that was asking him questions right before her, the very person before her took off the table that there is no there. Now here's the crazy thing. Comey should then correct her, right?
Mm-hmm. With his response, when he responds to her, he should say, "Oh no."
Yeah, we just said that it wasn't ordered, but no. What does he say? Let's see.
What was the response of your colleagues?
I think they were as shocked and troubled by it as I was.
What? Shocked and troubled by it? He's pretty much agreeing with her premise
without saying it.
Yeah.
So he's not lying. And he's talking. And she said, "What about your colleagues? Not you. What did your friends think?"
They were shocked about it.
My friends were shocked about it.
Yeah.
Just like I was. Yeah, that's pretty much confirming it.
Yeah,
Right.
so this whole lying. So what people have just heard, if they listen to this live or listen to a tape of it, was a lie that they believe has to be true because it's in a Senate hearing and Comey's under oath and nobody can lie at these things. And what you just heard right there was a complete substantiated falsehood. It was substantiated by Comey. It was a falsehood that was the premise of a question by Dianne Feinstein, which was supported by Comey by pretty much accepting the premise of the question, which is that there was an order by the president to stop the Comey or the Flynn investigation.
Right, and I think he says a little bit more.
Some said things that led me to believe that. I don't remember exactly, but the reaction was similar to mine. They're all experienced people who had never experienced such a thing. So they were very concerned. And then the conversation turned to about, so what should we do with this information?
Oh, my gosh.
Right, and we've said this at Kekistan Rose. We've said this many times on this show. We've said it to each other, and we've said it about Donald Trump. Carrie, I got a very, very critical question on the top of my head I need to ask you.
Yeah? Okay,
because Kekistan Road reminded me of the question I'm supposed to ask you.
What's the question?
Carrie, when, at any given time, when did you stop beating your wife?
What? Oh, never. I never stopped beating her.
Them is jokes, folks.
No, I mean, I never started, so I never stopped.
Correct.
That's how you get them. You get them with those false premises. So anyway, what do you think about that, Hunter?
No, I mean, I'm with you guys on that. That is weird how 1 second it was kind of debunked, and then all of a sudden he kind of just goes along with it with the other question.
I picked up on that instantly. I'm like sitting here working. I got my earbuds in, and I just heard Senator Reich's questioning. Then she comes up, and as soon as she says that question, I was like, what? I was like throwing everything. I couldn't believe that she worded it that way. It was like it's like she had the question written on paper. Okay, so she brought it with her. She thought that the big bombshell was going to come out, and that she worded her question in a way that she may have even thought the premise was true, or was hoping that it was going to come out that way. But then when it was debunked by Reich before her, she didn't change the wording of her question. She just went ahead and read it. And
I know, yeah. She was like, well, I already have it written down, so just going to go with it.
So given that you beat your wife every night, yeah, I mean, that just irritated me so much. I had to point that out on the show today. So what else you got on the Comey investigation?
We've got, this started coming up Sunday morning. Sunday morning, talk show hosts, Deface The Nation, just run them. Anyone you want. There's a lady, her Joy. Her show is called AM Joy.
Okay.
So it's happiness in the morning, I guess.
Okay.
She's on MSNBC. But anyway, so here's Deface The Nation. I didn't even watch the show. This is just a minute of the opening to the show.
With John, whatever his name is?
Snuffleupagus? Oh, no, that's
the other one.
But the investigations into his campaign's ties to Russia continue.
Okay, that's not the full 1 minute.
By the way, there's no investigation of Trump.
They're investigating his campaign, his ties to the campaign of Russia. This is the opening to the Sunday morning Face the Nation.
Yeah, and these are people that would probably work all week, so maybe there's no way they would have sat there and watched the entire the testimony, the 3-hour testimony. They would not have watched this. They want to get their news at nighttime, which is probably very similar, or maybe they don't even get to watch the news until Sunday morning on Deface The Nation, and that's the opening that they get.
And Carrie, you've been given a compliment by Vanessa. I'll thank you for the compliment, Vanessa, that you gave to Carrie. Carrie, you're like the premise whisperer.
Yeah, I do it like every show, but anyway.
Here we go. Deface The Nation.
But the investigations into his campaign's ties to Russia continue. We'll sit down with Republican Senator Lindsey Graham, who's leading the Senate Judiciary probe
Lindsey Graham
into the Kremlin's meddling in the 2016 presidential election. Plus, Senate Intelligence Committee Republican James Lankford. He questioned former FBI Director James Comey this week. And next week, he'll question Attorney General Jeff Sessions. We'll ask the senator where the Intelligence Committee investigation goes next. And how are the Democrats responding?
The cloud hanging over this administration has just gotten a whole lot darker.
Of course.
Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer joins us to discuss the Russia investigation and a big story that's been out of the spotlight. The Republican promise to pass a health care overhaul in the Senate by the 4th of July. Plus, we'll talk with our politics panel about the infighting in the administration and mixed messages on the diplomatic crisis in the Middle East.
This is pure propaganda. Pure propaganda.
Hey, Avalon, it was great to have you on. I know you said you got to take off, but please, you're an absolute welcome guest on this show anytime you want.
Thanks so much, guys. I really had a great time coming on here, and I definitely hope to come on again soon.
Absolutely. Sure.
Have a good evening.
All right.
Okay,
you guys have a good evening. Bye.
All right, so make sure you're following Hunter on YouTube at Hunter Avalon. So it's, I guess it'd be youtube.com/Hunter Avalon.
Right.
Or if you go, he actually said if you type in Hunter A in the search box on YouTube, he'll be the first one.
Well, if you do the Google, he comes up right away.
Okay, yeah. You want to go ahead and subscribe to him and click that little bell. And he doesn't barrage you with a lot of videos. You'll get like one a week or maybe one every 2 weeks. And it's like 11 minutes of just like action nonstop because he edits out the space. So it's like really fast paced, like rapid fire.
Right. So the soundbite that we just played, Deface The Nation, Literally the first 1 minute opening to the show. First off, they make the affirmation that there is an investigation into Trump's campaign ties with Russia, even though that's all been debunked by Comey. Then they go in, they introduce two different Republicans. See, they're pulling out these Republicans that are media whores that want attention, and as they pull these Republicans out one by one, it's to make you think that, oh, they're having Republicans on the show. Well, I'm going to have to listen into the show.
Well, because it's balanced. It's fair and balanced.
It's fair and balanced. And then he turns into, the Republicans got an uphill battle. They're not going to make that promise. Trump will not make his promise by the 4th of July to overhaul Obamacare. He's not going to break his first promise ever.
Lots of broken promises.
Right.
The cloud.
And the last bit, the infighting in the Trump administration. What infighting?
Yeah, they just
infighting.
The whole
what are you
thing
talking about?
Infighting. I'm not sure if they just made it up to try to keep a news cycle going, some sort of a narrative that makes it look like the Trump administration's in disarray, or if it might be something that's been leaked by the Trump inner circle in order to keep the fake stream media busy. Could be one or the other. Either way, it's not true. Either they're just making it up like they always do, fake news, or that it was it's a way for the Trump administration to keep them busy by just releasing that kind of fake information. I don't think it's real. I don't think that kind of there was this thing where Bannon was on the outs, and there was all this fighting between him.
Bannon's going to get fired. Bannon's going to walk away.
And all of it was totally fake. Totally fake.
And now you got this week, Jeff Sessions. Oh yeah, I'm ready to quit. I'm ready to resign. I'll walk away.
I'm going to be honest with you. You're going to have to get me up to speed on the Jeff Sessions thing. He's been in the news, and I'm just totally lost.
Okay, here's where it's steered away from Jeff Sessions about ready to quit to they don't want him to quit now because Jeff Sessions is going to take the stand.
Okay.
And talk.
He could take the stand after he quit.
But the Democrats don't want him to quit now because they need, we need him. When they drop the fake news of him quitting and that kind of thing, walk away from it, we need him. Now there's articles being written up right now as we speak. Jeff Sessions, the next to fall, the next one, he's going to be it. Like they're literally headhunting, making up titles, making up stories about anyone and everyone. Who's the next one on Trump's, in his cabinet? Who's the next one in Trump's cabinet that they're going to cherry pick off and attempt to destroy? They got, and it's a absolute crying shame what they did to Flynn. Just unbelievable, and it's unbelievable.
His contacts with Russia were part of his job.
And I hate to say this, and maybe this might be the only decision that I really so disagree with that I might even call it a bad decision on Trump's part. I don't know how it would have played out the other way. But if Trump would have kept Flynn on and not fired him so fast, I don't know. The fact that he did fire him and the fact that he said that I've lost trust in him and I had to get rid of Flynn, gave the media, gave the liberals red meat, and they're like, yes, we can do this.
We have a scalp. I think it was it Sean Hannity that said by doing this, by giving in and firing him, they're going to smell blood in the water, and they're going to go after each and every person one by one until they're all gone, until it gets to the point where either Trump is impeached, like he's the scalp, he's the big scalp, or he's going to be so annoyed by this whole process that he's just going to quit.
Right.
That's what they're really banking on, and they see progress when Flynn gets fired. They see the progress. They're like, "Oh, we have a goal." It's like it's like when America against the USSR in hockey in the Olympics.
Oh, right.
When they scored a goal.
They won They did more than score a goal, but that's
I'm saying when they score.
Each goal that they scored, that's one more.
They felt like, wow, we can do this.
We can do this, right?
We can do this.
Right.
We're actually ahead by one or whatnot. And so,
No, it's like at school where they have the thermometer in paper that stretches the entire length of the wall.
Yeah.
And the top of it says goal, 10,000 cookies sold. And every time you sell a cookie, they paint it red as it's going up higher and higher.
Right.
This is just what the Democrats do. This is what they're doing. They got in their mind. They got Flynn in their mind. So it's just hacking away at a big giant sequoia tree.
Well, imagine they have a bunch of machetes and they're hacking and hacking and hacking. When you allow them Flynn, you say, all right, we'll let you hack off Flynn. They're all like, oh, you mean this hacking works? And they just start swinging. What you did was you got them to swing faster and harder and more aggressive and just feral. It's the feral left, as Mike Cernovich likes to call them. They are. They're not even human. Like Hunter Avalon said, it's like animals out there.
DJT just said that this is inside information. If you're listening to Smith Radio Live, 5 to 8 p.m. Eastern Time, you can go to smithradio.info. It'll take you directly to the live podcast. Click on the show, and it will immediately bring up the full show, and then the message board will be underneath it.
And if you're listening to this as a podcast, I would highly recommend you get into your smartphone, go into your alarm, and set a repeating alarm every Sunday, 5 o'clock, so you can watch this thing live.
4:59.
Yes. Yes.
So DJT, who's on the message board tonight, messaged out. This is probably breaking news. He says, think he will come back. General Flynn.
Oh, that would be such a slap in the face.
And we're friends. We are friends with General Flynn's son.
Yeah, we hang out with him in D.C.
In D.C., we've talked to him a few times. He's a great guy. Obviously, if you're hanging out with General Flynn's son, you want to, hey, what about your dad, man? You want to, but you can't.
You
got to walk away from. And as I was talking to him about politics and the likes, there would be somebody that would come up and interrupt and say, man, what about your dad, man? And he's like, I can't talk about that.
It's got to be so annoying.
Right. So, but no, that would be awesome to bring back General Flynn. Just incredible. I've got, let's see. I've got another sound clip from, this is from Tucker Carlson. Tucker Carlson took directly to his show right after the Comey investigation.
Okay.
And he said, this is my opinion.
All right.
And this is from Tucker. This is Tucker's opinion. It's about 2 minutes long, but you'll love it. I mean, if you know anything about Tucker Carlson, he
knows how to win an argument.
Yes.
Fired FBI Director James Comey finally got around to testifying before Congress this morning, the most anticipated moment so far in this endless Russia investigation. The hearing lasted 4 exhausting hours, but that was just the beginning. The analysis is next. The partisan lying, the moral preening, the purely unsupported speculative BS you see run on a continuous loop on the screen. That'll no doubt go on for weeks, if not years, as each faction tries to get the jump on writing its version of history. Our advice, approach it all with skepticism. There's an awful lot of propaganda out there. Here, in our opinion anyway, is what actually happened today and what we learned from it. First, all those leaks you've been reading about lately, at least one of them came from the director of the FBI himself. We know this because Comey admitted it. Yeah. After being fired, Comey concedes he sent a memo describing a meeting he'd had with the president to a friend of his, who then gave it to the New York Times. Comey explained he did this to try to force the appointment of a special prosecutor. Highly illegal, by the way. Just heads up.
I would imagine it is. You got more of the. I don't want to interrupt the soundbite.
It didn't dawn on me originally that there might be corroboration for our conversation. There might be a tape. And my judgment was I needed to get that out into the public square. And so I asked a friend of mine to share the content of the memo with a reporter. Didn't do it myself for a variety of reasons, but I asked him to because I thought that might prompt the appointment of a special counsel.
Well, second, we learned that many of the other leaks and big scoops from major news outlets are lies. In February, for example, the New York Times published a piece entitled "Trump Campaign Aides Had Repeated Contacts with Russian Intelligence," and it cited those ubiquitous current and former American officials you see quoted in virtually every story these days. According to Comey, the article was garbage.
Total lies.
That report by the New York Times was not true. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah, in the main, it was not true. The people talking about it often don't really know what's going on, and those of us who actually know what's going on are not talking about it. And we don't call the press to say, hey, you got that thing wrong about this sensitive topic. We just have to leave it there.
Unless we're leaking to the press ourselves. But that wasn't the only lie that made it into the news cycle recently. On Tuesday, CNN cited an unnamed source to claim that James Comey would deny ever telling President Trump he wasn't under investigation. Trump claimed that he told him that 3 times. CNN said that's not true. Well, less than a day later, the release of Comey's opening statement proved that to be laughably false. The obvious lesson here, nameless leakers, the group that's been responsible more than anyone else for fueling the past 7 months of media hysteria, often lie. And that makes sense. They're not giving their names for a reason. Maybe reporters ought to take that into account before acting as their stenographers, as they so often do.
He just puts it so well. I mean, think about it.
Yeah, I kind of forgot about that the memo leak, it was by his friend, and my thing, I actually mentioned this last Thursday. It is laughable that he gave his memos to a friend of his.
No, he said I gave him the premise of my memos.
I thought he gave him the...
No, I gave him the premise of my... Like, he used that word, I gave him the premise.
Is that really a proper way of... What does that even mean? If I wrote memos, how do I give you the premise of my memos? That doesn't even make any sense. Is that even... That's gobbledygook. That is literally gobbledygook. All right, so let's assume, for the sake of argument, that he gave his friend the memos. Well, I assume that he thought in his head that giving the memos to his friend to give to the media would insulate him from being discovered as the leaker. I mean, and he even kind of hinted at that as his explanation for why he gave it to a friend to give to the press instead of giving it to the press himself. Here is the dumb part. This is the part where I've lost all respect for Comey. It didn't take very long before some very intelligent people in alt media, new media, right-wing media, logically deduced that Comey had to be the leaker.
Yes, he is. Yes.
Did somebody literally... because the only other way that you could get these memos, there's only 2 things. Either A, they're totally fake, like the Trump dossier, or if they're real, that somebody will have had to have broken in to his house or wherever this computer was, logged in and figured out what his login is, find these memos. They would have to know these memos exist, even look for them.
Right.
Print them off or put them on a thumb drive or whatever and walk out and then hand them to a news outlet. So the bottom line is it doesn't take a rocket surgeon to figure out that Comey was the damn leaker. So the whole idea of using a third party to give the memos to the media is completely asinine. It makes him look like an idiot because it didn't serve the purpose that he wanted it to serve. I mean, maybe it bought him a little bit of time instead of realizing that it was here. I don't think it bought him any time. If he gave it to the New York Times personally and handed it to him personally and told the guy that he handed it to, hey, please do not say that you got these from me. Just say anonymous source. He wouldn't have bought himself any more time than by giving it to a friend to give to the New York Times. So by him acting all cloak and dagger, the guy's the FBI director and he can't even 007 properly. I mean, seriously, if you're going to do it right. I mean, it didn't take us very long at all I think it was Mark Levin a day later, maybe a day after these memos came out. Let me tell you something, Mr. Producer.
Let me tell you something.
I know exactly who the leaker was. It was Comey himself.
Yes. No, Comey definitely. I mean, think about this. This isn't and I know this has been espoused before, but this isn't the manager at the local 7-Eleven. This isn't the manager at Walmart or Kmart. This is not an FBI employee. This is not a subcontractor for the FBI.
He's kind of an employee, I guess.
This is the head of all the employees in the FBI.
Right.
His boss, DJT. Your boss is the president of the United States. And this is the montage of him.
Education.
Oh, this is the montage.
Shifting explanations confused me and increasingly concerned me. They confused me. That didn't make sense to me. A very
None of these are repeated.
Disturbing thing, very concerning. It caused a whole lot of personal pain for me, confused me and concerned me. I was honestly concerned. Made me uneasy. I was so uneasy. This is a very disturbing development. Lordy, I was kind of a slightly cowardly way. Shocked and troubled. Never experienced such a thing. Very concerned. I was a bit stunned. I don't want to make you sound like I'm Captain Courageous. What came to my mind is be careful. I was very much my serious concern. I woke up in the middle of the night. He couldn't possibly be having dinner with me alone. Why did he kick everybody out of the Oval Office? I was worried the media was camping at the end of my driveway. I worried it would be like feeding seagulls. It rings in my ears kind of, will no one rid me of this meddlesome priest? Concerned me. You look back in hindsight, you think, should I have resisted harder? That gave me a queasy feeling. Extraordinarily difficult and painful. Got very awkward. I could always be wrong. Again, I could be wrong. Now look, I could be wrong. I could be wrong.
This was described by a lot of people to be like a bad Tinder date. I'm not going to take credit for it. I'm just telling you. There was some.
Dude, you got catfished.
Oh, no, he didn't. Comey got catfished.
No. We, the people that showed up for the Tinder date, got catfished by
something
Comey.
like that. Oh, it felt awkward. It was so uncomfortable. Yeah, it was a bad Tinder date. Right. Well, and you didn't even include that in that soundbite, but how about the part where it made him feel uncomfortable being left in the room alone. He invited me to dinner, and he didn't want my wife and kid there. He said it would be better if it was just me and you. And then he asked everybody to leave, and I'm like, no, don't leave me in here alone with him.
But come to find out, the first original meeting, Comey asked everyone to leave so he could talk to DJT by themselves. That's originally what went down. DJT wanted a subsequent meeting, so called him and said, "What are you doing? You want to have dinner?
What are you doing tonight?"
And
Mr. President, it's 2 a.m.
No, it was well, it was like a Friday night, and he claimed to have a dinner date with his wife, but I dare not tell the president that. So I broke off the date with my wife to go to meet DJT.
He can't even be a man with his wife.
What? He probably lied to her about it. Say, yeah, that's it's work related. It's work related. Don't worry about me. Oh, I've got bodyguards. I've got protection.
Wow. What are you doing with these latex? And you got a cooler full of beer and
knowing that Trump doesn't drink.
Well, right. No, it was for Comey.
Of course it was.
Anyway,
I had a Chris Matthews, dude. I had a Chris Matthews thing. Oh yeah, here's a Chris Matthews thing. Oh my God, dude. Chris Matthews has gone so far off the rail. I mean, we know he was bad with Obama and got a tingle up his leg. Chris Matthews on hardball, the first minute and 40 seconds, this is how he attempted to lay it out.
Good evening. I'm Chris Matthews up in Boston. James Comey delivered powerful testimony yesterday about a president who lies, abuses power, and can't be trusted.
Okay, that's the first few seconds of the minute 40. dude opens his show with this propaganda. We all watched it. We heard sound bites and pieces.
He did claim that. Comey claimed that. So I can't fault Chris Matthews too much for saying that, because he was just... That was in his interpretation of what Comey was trying to say, that he was lying.
However, the way that Matthews is throwing it out is fact. He's backing up Comey with the way he's saying it.
Yeah, he's making it sound like that what Comey was saying was true, when he should have probably been a little bit more careful to point out that that's what Comey's claiming.
Good evening. I'm Chris Matthews. I'm in Boston. James Comey delivered powerful testimony yesterday about a president who lies, abuses power, and can't be trusted. And today, President Trump responded, defying and...
He said powerful testimony about a president who... He didn't even say that this is just Comey claiming it. He's saying that that's what our president is.
Okay, one more time.
Good evening. I'm Chris Matthews. I'm in Boston. James Comey delivered powerful testimony yesterday about a president who lies, abuses power, and can't be trusted.
Powerful testimony about a president
who lies and cannot be trusted. And so he wasn't saying that Comey was claiming that. He was saying that Comey gave testimony
that would
about a president
who
lied. He was pretty much saying that he's saying that.
Right.
And that it's fact.
Right.
And today, President Trump responded, defying and denying Comey's written sworn account of what his then FBI director said he did, saying he would do so under oath.
He did say under oath that you told him to let the Flynn, or you said you hoped the Flynn investigation you could let.
Okay, this is a reporter speaking to Trump right after the Comey investigation, when Trump was giving his speech on infrastructure.
I didn't say that. So he lied about that.
Well, I didn't say that. I mean, I will tell you, I didn't say that.
And did he ask you to pledge his
And there'd
loyalty?
be nothing wrong if I did say it, according to everybody that I've read today.
True.
That is true. We pointed that out multiple times.
But I did not say that.
And did he ask for a pledge of loyalty from you? That's another thing he said.
No, he did not.
So he said those things under oath. Would you be willing to speak?
He asked Donald Trump if Comey asked him, excuse me, for a pledge of loyalty.
Did Comey ask for a pledge of loyalty?
Did Comey ask you for a pledge of loyalty? He literally asked that. That's what he asked. And Donald Trump said no. And then he said under oath, and Donald Trump started going into, why would I say that under oath? But he was talking about Comey.
Right.
The whole thing was convoluted.
It's cracked up.
Speak under oath to give your version of
100%. I didn't say under oath. I hardly know the man. I'm not going to say, I want you to pledge allegiance. Who would do that? Who would ask a man to pledge allegiance under oath? I mean, think of it. I hardly know the man. It doesn't make sense. No, I didn't say that, and I didn't say the other.
So if Robert Mueller wanted to speak with you about that,
I would be glad to tell him exactly what I just told you, Joe.
Who would say that? Who would say that? Under oath.
Well, that was just part of the president's damage control in the wake of Comey's testimony. Trump and his team say he was vindicated, but they also accused Comey of lying and went after him as a leaker. Well, the problem for the president, the verdict from yesterday was clear and overwhelming. With the country watching, Comey clearly didn't come across as the nut job the president told the Russians he was.
That's the bar. That's the bar we're setting, that he's not a nut job. That's the bar? Really? That as long as we could show that he's not a nut job, we've done our job. That's the bar that they set, that he's not a nut job. Listen, it's not that Donald Trump is claiming Comey is a leaker. We've established that as fact.
Yeah.
He admitted.
Yeah.
He said, I gave the memos of our privileged conversations with the president to somebody to get in, or specifically to give to the press, which, by the way, I don't have the actual statute in front of me, but it is specifically a law broken there. There's a very specific law, clearly written, that was broken by Comey releasing the information of a privileged conversation with the president. So right there, he admits to breaking a law. and he admits to being a leaker. So these are established facts. Well, this isn't claims by the president. These are claims that not claims, but admissions by Comey during the testimony.
Absolutely. No,
So,
absolutely. And then there was the this is unbelievable. Rachel Madcow, whichever you think she is of that day, on MSNBC, she had a complete and absolute meltdown. Just a melt. She was beside herself. She opened her show up and she's like, if you ever thought about running for office as a senator or congressperson, do it. Do it. Do it. All of you, do it. But you would be the one that would be a nosy person. Because you're nosy. You're nosy, aren't you? Folks, I'm not kidding. It was creep fest with this person. And she was so upset that they put together a montage of questions and answers by Comey. Put this montage together, and she was so angry and so upset by the investigation or the interrogation of Comey. And here's how that went.
Stuff today.
What do you know about the Russian bank VEB?
Nothing that I can talk about in an open setting.
Was the FBI able to confirm any...
The really juicy stuff today.
Okay, well, we're going to have to pass on that for the moment.
What happened to that?
So basically her montage was she would that a senator would ask Comey a question. Comey's response is, I can't talk about that. Nope, I can't talk about that.
I thought you had that, man. That was all perfectly set up.
I had it all clipped up. I don't know. The producer slipped his mud.
Oopsies.
So it went on and on and on. It was a long clip.
There were quite
all these questions.
Right. I think what she was saying was that if anybody had any reason at all, no other reason to run for office, it's to be nosy, or it's to satisfy your nosiness.
Right, to get in, because after all of that, all the senators got up with Comey after 4 hours and went in the back room to then get all their answers, all their questions answered by Comey.
That are classified.
And she was so seething with anger.
She was so mad that she didn't get to find out the answers. And to be perfectly honest with you, if you listen to the actual questions that he had to say that he could not answer because of classification or whatever, sensitive information, a lot of it seemed like BS. And that he was avoiding answering the question in public that would vindicate Trump. There were several questions like that where I could not even imagine, I couldn't begin to imagine what could possibly make the answer to a question unanswerable because of the classification. I mean, some of it seemed like there's no way that it would be giving away classified information. It was very weird to me.
Insanity ensues. So just wrapping all that up, it was a show that we knew. I knew it. It didn't take a brain surgeon to know. And guys at work are asking me, and they're saying, "Man, what is going on? It's the Comey leak. It's Comey." I'm like, I'm telling you right now, he's gonna get up there, and it's going to deflate all the Democrats, and they're going to be deflated. And so the only thing they can do is twist and turn and manipulate so that they feel like they still have a sliver of hope. It's like the end of Dumb and Dumber, and he asked the girl, no, is there a chance? I mean, like 1 in a million, is there a chance? And she looks at him and says, yes, 1 in a million.
Maybe
one in a million.
Maybe one.
And he screams for joy. There's a chance.
Right.
Like, this is who we're dealing with. The Democrat Party is Dumb and Dumber. The whole crowd.
Yeah. Well, you could see the way that Antifa acts in public. And yeah, I mean, they are Dumb and Dumber. They're beyond Dumb and Dumber. They're so dumb that they believe stuff that idiots say on the news, on fake news. And so Yeah, it's really sad. You watch a movie like Dumb and Dumber and you say, oh, nobody really exists that's that dumb. And most of your average run-of-the-mill Democrats really are. And I know I used to be one, and I was an idiot. I mean, flat out.
Well, I mean, when you have the lack of knowledge, and we were raised in a world where they don't want you to learn about politics, they don't want you to know about politics, they want you to think that it's the hardest thing in the world.
Right.
And as soon as you listen to it, you're supposed to cringe because you don't know.
Right.
You don't know the names they're talking about. You don't know the people they're talking about. They're empty faces and empty suits.
530 congressmen. That's too many.
Yeah, and check this out. Have you ever heard of Senator Kirsten Gillibrand?
That might ring a bell, but I'm not sure.
Dude, I'm going to tell you right now, I slipped all over it, and I fell into it, and I saw her, and I heard her.
Slipped on her awesome sauce?
No. Negative ghostwriter. She was a shill in support for the Clinton machine. And she's giving a speech this week, and she's talking to Utes, and she's dropping...
Wait, she's talking to Utes?
Yeah, Utes.
Utes. What's a Ute?
Youths.
Oh, youths. Youths. Okay.
And this is how I bleeped out the F-bomb, but this is how she came off. It's real quick.
Has he kept any of these promises?
Is this a senator?
No.
Her voice sounds like she's like 9.
Well, I'll give her
15.
Like definitely high school.
Okay. No. She's got gray hair. Oh, she's older than us.
And I bet you it's long and down, right? You ever notice
straight and long, yeah.
Right. Have you ever noticed that I won't get too far off on this. That conservative grandmothers always have super short hair. And the liberal social justice warrior grandmas always have the long hair down the back like they're still young.
Right.
Do you know why that is?
No, I don't, dude.
I really haven't developed a theory on that, but that's interesting. The social justice warrior grandmas have the same hairstyle. Obviously, it's gray, very, very gray, but the same style that like your average 21-year-old would have.
So DJT called it out and said she sounds like Lisa Simpson.
Interesting.
Interesting. And that could be the voiceover.
She is a social justice warrior.
And she is at that.
I mean, her character is.
Yeah, so here's Kirsten Gillibrand on her speech to the youths and how what they need to do. Right.
Has he kept any of these promises? No. Instead, sorry.
She dropped it real quick.
I understand this is a younger audience. It's okay. And even though we as Democrats are on the right side of almost all issues, many hardworking families just haven't felt that we've been fighting for them. Fundamentally, if we are not helping people, we should go the comb.
Did he tell you that's how it's pronounced?
I think it was coverage, and he just mistaked it.
I got it.
And he was bitching about the media, and he just forgot to finish.
I wish I could bleep some words too, but my 90-year-old mom is sitting in the front row.
Oh, God bless you. I'm sorry.
Oopsies.
Yeah, like the interview, the guy who had hosted the whole show, he finally sits down with her to talk to her, and he's like, my 90-year-old, like the Democrats are resorting to F-bombs, cussing in speeches. This isn't the first. This is an ongoing thing that they're attempting to do to garner the coolness factor that they don't have with kids.
How about the older man, he was probably close to our age, maybe even a little older, that had the bullhorn in front of the White House in a huge crowd when we were there last. And he was like dropping all kinds of words that are not appropriate for children. There were a lot of children around.
Yes. So awful. So why do I bring her? Well, I brought her up because that was this week. However, we're getting into something that we kind of started developing, started looking into the funding of ISIS, because Lindsey Graham this week brought up the funding of ISIS and who's funding ISIS and where did it come from.
I wish I just had the text version and I could just act it out. That would be so awesome.
See, that would be hysterical. So this is
Lindsay.
Here, I'll do.
How do you set it up? Oh, you got to do the. Which one goes first? The Lindsey Graham goes second.
Did you ever have access to the actual hardware that was hacked, or did you have to rely on a third party to provide you the data that they had collected?
In the case of the DNC, and I believe the DCCC, but I'm sure the DNC, we did not have access to the devices themselves. We got relevant forensic information from a private party.
Oh, that's the DNC servers one.
I let that go because I can't believe we missed that one.
That's okay.
But anyways, okay. So that was...
yeah, we forgot to point that out during the Comey stuff. That
the DNC servers the info was given to them from a third party who found the relevant stuff.
That was supposed to be played in conjunction with McCain.
Okay. That would be this one then right here.
Well, before you go on, let me repeat what just happened there. Comey was asked if he had access to the DNC servers. This was at the Russiagate hearings. And he was asked if FBI ever got access to the DNC servers. He said no, but that's okay because we got the relevant data that we needed from a third party, a private party, a private company.
Right.
That was state of the art. And I was just like, oh, man, follow-up questions needed to come up for that.
And there were none.
Meanwhile, everybody's making fun of John McCain. And trust me, I think John McCain has gone from American hero, POW guy to, to be honest with you, I think he's disgraced. He is no longer working on behalf of the people as a senator anymore. He's actually working against the people. He's working for the deep state. I think he's heavily compromised. I think that he might have a pedophilia background. And I'm only saying that. I'm not throwing out wild accusations. I'm trying to understand how people could be working against the people on behalf of the powers that be, the establishment, to the point that McCain is, and I think he's compromised. And how do you compromise people? You get pictures of them with children.
Yeah, absolutely. Kekistan Rose says, but even Dems are calling for the reopening of the investigation. They're turning on Hillary. Well, there was Vanity Fair put out an article this week, and the headline of the article said, "Can Hillary please go away quietly into the night?"
That's fine. So do you have
we're going to go back to, the McCain from the testimony?
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't have that.
Oh, I thought you had it.
But
I can go ahead and bring up what he brought up. I'll try to do it quickly. Everybody's making fun of McCain because he sounded senile. He looked really bad. He did a horrible job of delivering the point he was trying to make. But I got a confession to make. All these people that went all over the world, all over the country, who took the day off of work and went to the bars at 9 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
In order to listen to Comey drop the bomb that's going to get Trump impeached, which never happened.
Nope.
So they got to see all the different senators speaking. I had to listen to the whole thing via audio, just earbuds in the ear, no video whatsoever, which was interesting because a lot of times I missed the name of the person who was doing the questioning, and therefore I wasn't sure who the heck I was listening to that was actually delivering the questions. So when it got to McCain, I had missed his name too in the beginning, and I just heard this old guy. He sounded like he was in his 90s. He sounded like he was having a little trouble getting it across, but I was just listening to where he was trying to go. And my interpretation of it was, wow, this guy's bringing up a great point. Have no idea who he was. And I'm glad I didn't, because I didn't prejudge him based on the fact that he is disgraced and that he needs to get lost and that he is the poster child for term limits. But the point that McCain was trying to bring up was, why is Comey so obsessed over the Trump side of the investigation into Russia interference into our elections when the whole thing started because Russia hacked into the DNC servers. And it is his opinion based on everything that he's seen at the FBI, that it was definitely, he even said at the very beginning of his testimony that he has no doubt that it was Russia that hacked into the DNC server. And he had no doubt that it was that Russia had a significant impact on the election and that it was meddling and all this kind of stuff. And when asked whether or not they even received the servers, he said, nope, we didn't get the servers. But the point that McCain was bringing up is, why is that a closed case? Why do we close the Hillary case? Why is it that we don't really care about the servers too much? We don't really care what happened with the servers. We don't really care whose job it was to secure the servers. Can we at least not charge somebody with negligence for allowing these servers to be so vulnerable to the kind of hacking that we see? If it's really that important to make sure that foreign entities are not meddling in our elections, then look, what do? What does Secret Service do? Secret Service prevents somebody from assassinating a candidate. Could you imagine? Look at RFK. He was running. He was going to be our next president. And right before the general was really getting underway, boom, he's shot dead.
Right.
So what do? You got all these Secret Service agents that as soon as you become a nominee of your party, Secret Service is on you 24/7, right? So here's my question. If it's that important that we make sure that our candidates don't get assassinated in the lead up in the general, so we surround them with Secret Service, and now Comey's talking about how important it is that Russia meddled in the election, and we know now that by meddling he means that they hacked into the DNC servers, they disseminated that through WikiLeaks. Why can't we should actually have government entities in charge of securing the servers of these campaigns so that foreign entities can't meddle. Meanwhile, it's an open and shut case. He just gets out of that. Oh, we're done with the whole with the Clinton side of this. We didn't even see the servers. We're not even looking into it. McCain got a little confused. He thought that it was still open. And no, he said, no, we closed this case. And finally, a very confused McCain paused for a second because he didn't know that it was closed, which is fine. He goes, well, this kind of proves my point. My point is, if it's that important, why in the world are we closing this case already? Meanwhile, he points out the double standard and the politicization of this entire process by focusing in on the Trump side of this instead of the Hillary Clinton side of it. And he was pointing out, and I thought it was a great point. You know, we could all hate on McCain. We could all scream for term limits because he needs to go. But I thought it was a great point that if this was that important, if this is so important that we need to get to the bottom of this so that future foreign entities can't meddle in our American elections and that the right person is selected by the people who go to the ballot box and select who they want to select, and that the right information is given to them and all the information is given to them so that way they can make an educated choice, which, by the way, if they really cared about that, they would have a test. They would test people before they could even allow to vote, right?
Right.
So who cares? They shouldn't even care about that. It's all about being mad and trying to get even with Trump and trying to make up excuses for Hillary Clinton. But I think that McCain made a good point, and it's a shame that his fall from grace, if you will, to put it very, very, very lightly, very nicely, kind of obscured a very good point. And by the way, his age also and his inability to articulate the point directly obviously had an adverse effect on how that sounded. But right. I knew where he was going with it, and I thought it was a good. He didn't do as good as Marco.
No, Marco had a great one. DJT on the message board tonight. If you're listening to Smith Radio 5 to 8 p.m. Eastern Sunday evening, you can join the message board, the live chat. DJT's on the live chat, and he said that he hears that John McCain is angry at his writers. He's attacking his writers.
It sounded like he couldn't even put a coherent sentence together. I had to do a little bit of deciphering. I may have even needed a translator of some sort, but I knew where he was going with it eventually. You have to kind of read between the lines. I mean, maybe he just had trouble reading it. I assume that you would have it in front of you.
Back on track. This is Lindsey Graham We're talking about ISIS, funding ISIS. Who's funding ISIS? This is Lindsey Graham going senile, or maybe didn't get the memo. He didn't get the note. Lindsey Graham talking about ISIS and terror. Taliban and terror.
Mr. President, the Russians did this. They're doing it all over the world. They're providing arms to the Taliban to kill our soldiers. You're the commander-in-chief. You need to stand up to Russia. We're never going to reset our relationship with Russia until we punish them for trying to destroy democracy, and that starts with more sanctions.
That was kind of silly, but I mean, what's to say about it? I mean, he basically is saying this is what Lindsey Graham is trying to say. He's trying to say that we are having a proxy war with the Russians, but because we're fighting, he called it the Taliban. If I had him in front of me right now, I would say, Senator Graham, when you say Taliban, do you mean terrorists in general, Islamic terror? Because I mean that's specific, very specific.
I think that's what he meant.
Right, but we don't know for sure. That's why I'd have to have that follow-up question. Do you mean all of the above? Do you mean ISIS, Taliban, and Muslim Brotherhood, all this stuff, which over there they might consider it separate, and over here we kind of lump it. Maybe it's an American ignorance thing where it's like, we're not going to distinguish between all of them. If you're killing people and you're doing it in the name of Islam, then you're just a terrorist as far as we're concerned. But he's saying that Russia is arming the Taliban, the same people that we're trying to fight, which is what they did in Vietnam. They armed the Chi-Coms in northern Vietnam.
Vietnam, right.
They did it in Korea. We did it with the Afghanistans in the Afghanistan war against the Soviet Union. And he's basically saying that the same thing's going on. By the way, that was a different country. That was the Soviet Union. I think that we had very, very, very rocky relationship with them. We were at war with them. It was Cold
I'm
War.
under a different belief of who is funding ISIS and terrorists.
Yeah, so he said that, and I think he was trying to get baby boomers to say, yeah, there's damn Ruskies. There's Ruskies are always trying to fight us, and they're doing these proxy wars. Times have changed. The Berlin Wall fell, and the USSR is gone.
Right. So here's John McCain years earlier about terror.
Already, the meeting in the White House over 2 years ago, everyone in the national security team recommended arming ISIS.
I am concerned about.
Everyone in the security team recommended arming ISIS. I don't know if he's even allowed to say that.
And keep in mind, we just played you a clip. Lindsey Graham said that Russians are arming Taliban.
Taliban, right. And this is Hannity with John McCain again, part 2.
About this report about Syrian rebels and the ceasefire with ISIS, Senator
But
Paul.
that's not true.
Well,
it's not true. It's
you want me
not
to read
true.
from the,
Whether I don't care about the report. I know these people intimately. We talk to them all the time.
He knows these people intimately,
which is a problem in and of itself. But he's trying to say that the U.S. government has armed these people.
Right. And he is seen with pictures of John McCain. John McCain took pictures while over there in the Middle East with terrorists in the background. So did Hillary Clinton.
But this was during the Obama administration, right? Okay.
Which we're going to get into that.
And funding people who are allied with ISIS. ISIS is stronger because we've been funding Islamic rebels in Syria. It's a big mistake.
So that's Rand Paul spouting off, we've been funding ISIS and rebels in Syria.
Okay.
So Rand Paul is saying, yeah, we got to stop this. John McCain said, well, that's just what Obama
But he
wanted
admit
to do.
that we're funding them.
Right.
So both of them are on the same page as far as who's funding.
And Lindsey Graham says Russia's doing it.
Right. And he's trying to, he's lying, first of all. Okay, that's my determination. The determination is that Lindsey Graham only said that to try to paint a nostalgic picture, give you that nostalgic aroma for the baby boomers and maybe some of the older Generation Xers to have a deja vu with the USSR/Russia and to remind them, hey, we're at war with them. Why? Because we're always at war with them. It's
right.
the Russians. And so I think it's a false it's like a false propaganda thing. It's like a dog whistle thing. He's trying to get people to buy into that premise based on the old school way of the world. But the point is that that's proxy wars, right? Vietnam, proxy war, was U.S. versus Russia, proxy war in Vietnam. Afghanistan, same thing. It was proxy war between the USSR and America in Afghanistan. Korea, same thing. So we got all these different proxy wars over the course of the years during the Cold War. If Lindsey Graham was wrong. If all these people, we got your John McCain's and everybody else, Rand Paul, agrees that the Obama administration, while he was president, was funding terrorists, and it's a proxy war, who are we fighting against? The future administration.
Yes, absolutely.
The Trump administration. Right. Literally, what we have right now is a proxy war. You're going to have to span time here. It's a little bit of a time span here. The Obama administration funded a war in the future with Trump by arming the terrorists.
Yeah.
We are literally fighting a proxy war in the Middle East against Obama. Literally.
Get the DeLorean. Fire it up.
Yeah.
You got to go back in time. Sam Keels just said something really interesting. He says, Brian, that's why I keep trying to tell people when you question the refugees in detail, they'll find McCain sold weapons to the enemy. So you can't question that.
So McCain was on the side of Obama. He was part of the deep state Obama administration.
Here's Hillary under, I don't know if she's under oath, but she's talking to politicians like at a House Judiciary meeting or something.
I mean, let's remember here, the people we are fighting today, we funded 20 years ago.
Oh. She just pretty much said, I did not, by the way, people, I did not hear that soundbite until right now.
Yeah, I know.
She literally said what I just said. It's a proxy war, but it's over time. Whereas you had Vietnam, you had fighting going on where both sides were being funded and supported at the same time. So there was no time span. It was just a war that was happening between the USSR and America in Vietnam, simply by funding each side. Fast forward to what we were just talking about, the terrorists in the Middle East now. It's a proxy war against the ghost of Christmas past, I guess.
Right. And so a little while ago when we first started this segment off, I was talking about, and I played that soundbite from Kirsten Gillibrand. Kirsten Gillibrand.
Okay.
She's a senator.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she's the one that sounds like
Melissa Simpson.
Oh, Maggie.
Lisa.
Maggie's Maggie's got the pacifier. Yes.
So you're saying the senator sounds like she's got a pacifier?
I bet you she owns one and uses it nightly.
Okay, so there's a guy on Twitter it goes by the name Luke Radowski. And in his Twitter profile, it says, armed with a video camera and a YouTube account. So he's a citizen journalist, if you will.
What's his name again?
Luke Radowski.
Okay.
He's doesn't like Trump. He's not into Trump. He's not into politicians. His whole goal is, I'm going to expose whoever, wherever, however.
He better stay away from Antifa.
He was there at Antifa when old girl got punched.
Okay.
And so anyway, so he gets in front of Gillibrand, the senator, and he gets an audience with her. And this is the sound clip of her speaking to him and him talking to her about funding ISIS and Obama. And she's very frank and very candid.
Hillary Clinton armed and funded the rebels in Syria and Libya. A lot of those weapons have been found in Al-Qaeda's, al-Nusra's, and ISIS hands. Was this the right foreign policy decision?
Well, President Obama has decided that he is no longer going to fund that program, so I think we agree.
Did you catch that?
She say President Obama?
Yeah. One more time. Listen again.
Hillary Clinton armed and funded the rebels in Syria and Libya.
So he's stating a fact.
Okay.
He's saying
that's the premise.
That's the premise. She's stating a fact. She did sell weapons.
A lot of those weapons have been found in Al-Qaeda's, Al-Nusra's, and ISIS hands. Was this the right foreign policy decision?
Well, President Obama has decided that he is no longer going to fund that program. So
he's no longer going to fund that program, meaning he's been funding the program. That was the program.
She admitted.
Yes.
That's
I think
hilarious.
we agree it was a program that did not work as intended.
Well, what was the intention?
What was the intention?
Oh, my God.
Help me out. What is the intention that you're saying didn't work? Because if your intention was to start a proxy war like we're talking about,
right?
Then you succeeded.
Well, it seems like all the Obama people really hate Russia, which is really weird. I'm not sure. But you know what? They all hated Comey, and now they love him. So it seems to me like you can't trust or judge anything based on whether or not the leftists love or hate a person or a cause, because they're always going to tell you the way they feel based on whether or not they could take advantage of it for their own personal gain.
Right.
That's literally, they have no morals, no principles, nothing. There's no mooring. There's no boundaries. There's no out of bounds, inbounds, or any kind of a line whatsoever. It's just, hey, if I go in this direction and it benefits me in any way, either monetarily or power-wise or whatever, then that's where I'm going to go.
Right.
And that's why you kill Seth Rich, because
you got to.
Yeah, because they felt like that was the best decision to make for them personally. So that's what kind of people you're dealing with. And I feel like taking out a life insurance policy on myself.
You're going to need one.
Yeah.
On Smith Radio.
Just saying.
Okay, so here's another line of questioning. This is the same meeting. It's in a big arena. Luke has got an audience with her. There's a couple other people that interrupted him and took some questions away from her. But he came back, and these are the two major points that he made to her. And remind you, this senator is tight with the Clintons. She supported, she ran it, she helped it, she's in it.
the program I don't support. So I think his decision today is the right decision.
Can we move forward when we finance them?
We obviously should never finance ISIL or ISIS or any terrorist organization.
Well, we did, and Hillary did.
I wouldn't say that was the purpose of the program. The purpose of the program was to arm the moderates. The moderates turned out to be not great fighters, and so we have what we have. So I think President Obama has said this is not the approach that we need to take going forward. I agree with that. I didn't agree with the strategy in the beginning.
He's a moron.
And she called it a tragedy.
You know what Trump said at the I think Cincinnati may have been the first city that he brought his new speech, and he's been doing the same speech at all these different rallies and cities and all that.
Okay, hold on. When he came here, on the website, Trump's website, it said like conference, Trump right now is speaking to victims of Obamacare.
Oh, right.
He tweeted out, I'm in Cincinnati visiting victims of Obamacare.
Oh, I mean, guys, you guys listen to us on Smith Radio. You guys listen to us on multiple occasions, and even on Your Voice America, I've repeated it. We're absolutely victims of Obamacare. Me personally, I've given you guys the sob story about how I just had to make the decision. It became the best decision for me to drop insurance altogether, medical insurance, and just hope for the best. And if it didn't work out to where let's say I got cancer, I got hit by a car, or the DNC tried to assassinate me but didn't really work out, so I'm like kind of alive but all messed up in the hospital, that I would have to file for bankruptcy and tell the hospital to eat it.
Right.
Because that was probably, I was taking a gamble. The gamble is that you weather the storm and you don't go to the hospital and you don't have to go to the doctor and we all stay healthy. That's the gamble.
Right.
And so far it seems to have paid off, but I'm still, to this day, Donald Trump, listen to me. Right now, my wife, and my daughter are totally uninsured.
Well, and your dad there, when he retired, he got laid off, then he was at an age where he could go into retirement, but he had to wait for 3 years until he turned 65 before he could get Medicaid.
Oh, yeah. So it was like
he was uninsured for a couple of years.
Oh, I thought he had something, but you're right. There was something going on with his insurance.
And then he got into the Medicaid, and he said, "This is a nightmare."
Yeah, because it was like super expensive.
Well, they said to him, "You made too much money not working last year. You made it in the stock market.
So you have to fund the rest of the world."
Not only that, but this third party that's a private company that you're getting insurance from, that's subsidized by the government, you need to pay them more money.
That's ridiculous.
So you're going to pay more money to a subsidized company already?
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Getting back to full circle, what he said at this rally was that we've spent $6 trillion with a T, $6 trillion rebuilding Middle Eastern countries. We need to use that kind of money to rebuild our own infrastructure. It's funny, I had to crack up laughing. All these liberal commentators and armchair quarterbacks and all this crazy stuff on TV talking about how this liberal Donald Trump, the never Trumpers. Where are you going to get Mark Levin? Where are you going to get the money? I'm going to tell you something else, Mr. Producer. President Trump is asking for $1 trillion. $1 trillion. That's right, folks. That's right. $1 trillion. The same kind of money that Obama asked for. Let me ask you something, Mr. Producer. Who you think's going to pay for that?
You know, it was painful that you just said that he said that because
he did say that.
Okay, well, he obviously didn't look into
$6 trillion.
Where's it going to come from?
Well, no, I'm saying we spent $6 trillion rebuilding other countries.
Right. Okay. But Mark Levin is screaming that Trump is wanting the same thing. Do you know how that's going to work? It's called an evolution of capitalism.
Oh, I heard about that. Who was talking about that?
That they're talking about.
Was that Rush?
Private companies.
Yeah, private
partnerships.
Private-public partnership. Yeah.
Correct. So it's an evolution of capitalism. That's why that's why Trump this week said that, how you got to go to the airport and you wait in line forever and it's a mess and it's a nightmare. Air traffic control, privatized.
Yeah.
Going to be efficient. Something else, Mr. President, we need to privatize is those people at the airport that like to fill up my daughter trying to get on an airplane.
I thought the NSA thing, I thought isn't that a private company or not?
It was a government.
I don't know.
Well, they're botching up so bad, I can't believe that they're still even...
You can't even get an interview with those people to work for them unless you have a pedo stash.
Taking grandmas off to the side because she looks like she got a bomb, and in reality, she got a colostomy bag.
Oh.
Come on, man.
Oh.
Talk about embarrassing somebody.
Yeah, that's just messed up.
God.
I think that they should allow everybody through, just make sure everybody's armed on the plane.
Okay.
It just can't be bigger than a 22. Give everybody a 22. You're good to go.
Probably won't pierce through the walls.
It probably wouldn't go through, but even if it did, it'd be a very, very minor pinprick, and they could just drop in altitude. They'll be fine.
Right.
Brian's like, I'm not flying anytime. But no, if you stop the Muslim immigration and you get really, really, really aggressive and serious about combating terrorism within our borders, and I mean serious, I mean just lock these people up forever if they're in this country legally and they want to perform terrorism. Stop all immigration and refugees from anywhere in the Middle East or any majority Muslim country, and you end up with the ability to fly around, at least domestically, without having to go through somebody jamming their hands down your pants.
Speaking about jamming hands and flying around, no, I'm not talking about Bill Clinton. But Trump to roll back Cuba policy of Obama.
Oh, really?
Yes.
All right.
Making America great again, the communist state that is Cuba. There was an article put out. This came out that Trump was going to do this. Then I ran across an article yesterday. Somebody took a poll and started talking to people that that travel, that fly, like 1,500 people were polled. In 2015, when Obama opened up travel to Cuba, 70% of the people polled said, yeah, I'll take a trip to Cuba. Fast forward till now, and then like they couldn't find anybody that really wanted to go to Cuba.
It's a dump.
When you go to Cuba, what are you going for? Unless you're going to visit family that you haven't seen in 30 years because they've been locked up by the Castro regime.
Yeah, and back in the day, there were like American-owned casinos in Cuba, and
they actually helped to make Cuba great.
Well, they ended up getting shut down once there was
because the Batista family stole the money, took it all, and literally forced them out because they couldn't make a profit. They had to leave.
Right. Some of these casinos were owned by mafia and all that kind of stuff, and they got really angry when they had to close down shop and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
But I think the problem now, what's the point of opening up relations with a country like Cuba? It's only 90 miles off the coast of Florida. It would be that American companies could go there and open up a business there. Problem is in a communist society, the state owns 100% of all production, which means that somebody that wants to open up a business in Cuba would have those kinds of problems. I mean, they would have to give up so much of the sovereignty of their business, ownership of their business to Cuba because of the fact that it's communist. You'd almost have to make a treaty to make it work.
Right. And if you follow us on Twitter, @Smith Radio, and I also have a Twitter account, Brian P. Smith, just type in, search Smith Radio, and you'll see both of us pop up. There's a picture that I posted. I reposted this picture, and I actually created a meme out of it. Someone on the ground in Cuba, some individual with a decent camera, like a cell phone of sorts, maybe a government phone, Obama phone, snapped a picture of Obama leaving Cuba in the 747 Air Force One and caught the background. I mean, the aircraft was just maybe 30, 40 feet off the ground. It had just gotten off the runway. And they were standing in the street, and it was the tale of two worlds, tale of two cities. It was capitalism, the brand new capitalist society that we are, flying out of which looked like a freaking time warp from 1952.
Yeah, there was a movie that I saw where a bunch of Navy F-14s were flying around in off of an aircraft carrier, right?
Right.
And there was this crazy storm. It looked like a hurricane. And there was this big cyclone, and they couldn't avoid it, and they went right through this thing. Well, guess what it was? It was a time warp, and they're in the middle of the Pacific, and they're in a full-blown modern nuclear aircraft carrier full of F-14s, and guess what flew over their head? The Zeros on their way to attack Pearl Harbor. And so they went and had these, they stopped it. They stopped the Pearl Harbor. It was a movie. Oh. But it was kind of interesting that you said this modern technology landing in this like a time warp.
It was a time warp.
I mean, just like that movie with the aircraft carrier that was heading off the Zeros, steaming towards Pearl Harbor.
Right. I mean, these people. I mean, their main food staple of food is not rice. I'm just going to give you a heads up on that. Their main staple of food, I would probably imagine corn, beans, other things.
You're talking about Cuba?
Cuba.
Oh, their main staple, their diet is tobacco leaves.
Okay.
For cigars. They eat cigars, like on the hot dog buns.
Fair enough.
That's how they got to do it.
So Castro, when he was alive, he wanted to grace his people with love, and he gave every household in Cuba
a cigar?
No. A rice cooker.
Okay.
And most people shook their head because, one, they didn't have rice, nor did they have the money for rice. It just wasn't What? I tell you what, he probably got a deal on them from China. Probably get thrown away.
Probably.
But that's insanity. This is a communist regime. Communism needs to be eradicated from the earth.
It does.
It is the cancer that is killing all freedom, all humans. I mean, when you look back at the 20th century, people are going to say, good God, y'all, what is up with this communism that literally is responsible for the slaughter of 200 plus million people.
Yeah, there is nothing more deadly than communism in humanity, in all of civilization, flat out. People, if you listen to atheists, they're like, oh, these religions, it causes so much death and just bad stuff. And it's like, no, atheism, which is the foundation of a communist society, because they don't like communist is all about atheism. It's no religion, no belief in God. And yeah, they're the ones that killed 200 million. I want to change gears here real quick because I promised Mary Lou.
Oh,
I promised her that I would address a
hold on. Nancy Pelosi called Donald J. Trump Bush 3 times on The View.
Well, she's kind of senile, right?
Yeah, nobody pointed it out to her though.
They didn't correct her?
Let it go, man.
Oh, jeez. So anyway, Mary Lou said, it's disappointing when and she's talking about Congress, elected officials, they go to Washington and they get dirty. They get
sucked in by the demons. By the
no,
swamp.
that's what you thought. And we're
right?
like, no, these people are not that easily manipulated, right? No, we know what happens. What happens is you got these junior senators and these brand new congressmen, representatives,
freshman senators.
Yeah, and they don't know what they're doing. They're going to Washington for the first time as an elected official, and when they get there, they're all excited because all these bigwig, powerful people have invited them to a cocktail party. And by the way, Mary Lou, the story I'm going to tell you was told to me by a guy that lives in the D.C. area and was pretty powerful because he was in the right place for us to run into a powerful person. So what you do, you show up to these cocktail parties that you were invited to by, all your senior senators that have been there for 30 years, your McCains and your Grahams and all these people that are just behaving so strangely. And they get there and they basically give you they read you the riot act. They give you the ultimatum that you need to get on board with the way we do things here. And don't worry, if you sell your soul to the devil, we'll make sure everything works out for you. I believe a lot of these people probably say, no, I came here to represent my constituency. I am the Mr. Smith goes to D.C. or Washington, goes to Washington, right? Well, guess what happens to them? That little cocktail that they're drinking is roofied.
No, man.
Yes, they will drop the roofie into the drink, and next thing you know, you wake up and you're in your bed, and you're like, oh, wow, I must have drank too much. I wonder how I got home. Who knows? Nobody knows. Within a week or so, some guy shows up at your office with a little yellow envelope, one of the big envelopes, the 8x10s.
Right.
Or maybe even the, what's the long one? Like a 14-inch one, the 8x14, what I'm talking about, the big ones. And they plop that down on your desk like Mr. Smith does, Agent Smith in The Matrix.
22x14.
That big? That's huge.
22.
That's really big.
I get that all the time.
Oh. Okay. So they put the envelope down and they undo the little string that goes around it, to lock it up. And they pull out the black and white photographs. And guess what these photographs are of? They're of you.
No, when I was passed out.
Being serviced by children.
Oh, when I was passed out, when I was
roofied,
yeah.
That's what they do to you. And this is just a report coming from a longtime D.C. guy. And he was, you get compromised. And here's the thing. Some of you are saying, oh, whatever. If they did something like that to me, I would call them out. I'd go to the police. I would say, look, I got roofied and this is what they did. I want all these people arrested right now. But you know what? They start to say stuff like, you're married and you have 4 kids. You don't really want them to see pictures like this, do you? And next thing you know, and then the alternative is we can make this go away. And not only that, not only are we not going to make this go away, but you are going to live like a prince from here on out. You're going to have power and you're going to have prestige and you're going to have popularity and everybody's going to invite you to all the cocktail parties. And this will never, ever be known by anybody ever. And I think it's just too enticing. And the payment for that is that you vote the way they do, you say what they tell you to say, you go along with what they want you to go along with, and you've been compromised. And when we say stuff like McCain is heavily compromised,
right,
that's precisely what we mean. He's heavily, for him to have fallen so far from where he is, he's been heavily compromised. These people that they choose to be VP candidates, like your Tim Kaines, you think it's just, oh, he's the best guy, or he's going to help us out? Sure, he's governor of Virginia, so Virginia was a swing state, and they really wanted to pull Virginia, which, by the way, they barely won Virginia, even though their governor was running as VP. The bottom line is they picked Kaine because they knew that they could have control over him because they had the black and white photos. Telling you. Dude. So when you wonder why these Boy Scouts, these Tea Party types that are like, man, I'm going to go and change Washington, and then they get there like your Marco Rubio's. Marco Rubio, if you aren't old enough to remember his initial election, he was the Tea Party favorite. He was the Boy Scout. He was the one that was going to do it all right. Next thing you know, he goes behind closed doors and he comes out of the Gang of Eight saying, we're going to grant amnesty to everybody. We're all like, wow, those black and white pictures must have been powerful.
Right. Must have been.
Had to have
been. And you know they were. Dude, that Marco Rubio thing, dude, people were talking about him and his roomie back in college.
Well, that could be. But
I'm not, and see, the thing is, I'm not hating on anybody that has any different type of lifestyle. The thing is, though, is that since we found it out, those people that know him will know that about him.
Yeah,
and tempt him and tight. We've all got a weakness for sin. That's just what human beings are.
We all sin. It's as simple as
every day. And some of us have more of a weakness for certain things than other. Like, for instance,
your vice.
Yeah, your own personal vice. Like, I would never, my vice wouldn't be killing people like the Clintons.
Yeah, that's okay. They got a little bit of an addiction there, and you need to go see some help.
Right? My vice might be driving too fast and breaking the law. That might be my vice.
Yeah, everybody's got their own thing.
But they'll find your vice.
Yeah. And when they do, that's when they got you.
Like, if they found out how much you love racing.
Well, it would have to be something that they can compromise you on.
I got it.
What?
Indy 500.
Uh-huh.
Get you in the car.
Uh-huh.
Front seat, or back seat car, front row of the pace car that goes around.
How about get to drive the pace car?
Yeah.
Celebrities get to do that. Jay Leno's been done it.
Hey, that's all you need to do is ask. We got you, bro.
Oh, just ask. Just ask.
We'll get you drive the pace car for the Indy 500, my man. Well, what do I got to do for that? Oh, no, we're having
Leno.
Oh, whoa. No, man. Just want to give you a heads up. We're having a get together later on tonight. You just swing on by.
Cocktail bar. If you've seen the movie Eyes Wide Shut, you know exactly what we're talking about. That's the kind of weird stuff that these people are doing. And you know, when I saw that movie, I cracked up laughing and thought, oh yeah, that's fun to imagine or think about, but that can't really happen like that. Well, now that you see, if you've been to DC and you've read the stories and you've heard the gossip and you observe the behavior, specifically the change in behavior, you have to, something is causing that. Something has to cause the change of behavior from this guy who said, I'm going to change Washington, to a guy that's saying, we're going to do amnesty. Where did that come from? I mean, heavily compromised. He had no choice. He's just trying to do it and save as much face as possible while doing it. And to try to make it, you have to make it believable so that way people aren't just immediately accusing you of being compromised. So it has to just look like you're doing it for the children. I'm doing it for the good of the people and look out for the children, and these people just want to be loved and all. When in reality, you ran on something completely different. I like that Donald Trump seems to be untouchable. He's to that point in his life where he doesn't care what they do to him. There's going to be a point, I'm getting close to it, where I'm like, if I'm either going to make the difference or I'm going to die trying type of thing. And if I were to win an election for senator, I would be that untouchable guy. You know who else is untouchable? And you could tell by the way he behaves. Jim Jordan.
Oh, Jim Jordan, solid.
Nobody
very,
has
very
gotten
solid.
to him. That guy really is the Boy Scout.
Here's the thing. I know myself so well. I don't want that. I don't need that.
Right.
I don't want to.
Right.
It's not that I'm untouchable. It's just that.
But what if they roofied you?
Yeah, that would be possible because I enjoy an adult beverage.
I would cross my arms and look right at them and say, I know what you did, and the people that love me and are close to me and are true friends of mine will believe me when I tell them what happened to me, that I was at a cocktail party and I woke up in the morning and I was in my bed and there was a horse's head next to me. But no, and then next thing you know, a couple days later, they come with the black and white pictures. And it was clear to me that I got roofied. And the people that love me and care about me and trust me and know me are going to believe that. And that's what I would tell them. I'd say, you know what? You can come out public with that all you want. But when people start to believe me over you, next thing you know, the Department of Justice is going to be coming after you.
Right.
Until they say, they're in our pocket too. That's when you're like, because, yeah, if they have the Department of Justice, next thing you know, might be some problems.
I want to give props to Kekstan Rose. He always, well, not always, but whenever he's on the show, it's like he's on the show messaging on the message board. And again, you're listening to Smith Radio, 5 to 8 p.m. Eastern Sunday. If you want to be a part of the show, join the message board. It's an excellent way to be a part of the show. Go to smithradio.info, directly click on the show that says live. Then it will open up a new page, and then you can join the message board. And whenever there's breaking news, it's like he's going to town at the message board, and he's also he's got ADD. He's also on Twitter and Cernovich and whatnot. And apparently, and he hooked us up with the breaking news.
What's breaking?
Hashtag Paris Mazel Tov cocktail attack.
Oh, those are the bad.
12 injured as a Mazel Tov cocktail was thrown into a Paris restaurant, including a handful of cops and other people.
Oh, the cops were in the restaurant?
I guess.
Yeah, those are bad because once they break open and splash everywhere, yikes. And you know they say when you're on fire, you're supposed to stop, drop, and roll. Well, if you have the flame accelerant, which would be like your gasoline or whatever, doused in your clothes, that'd be pretty hard to put that out.
Yeah, especially if it's like a diesel fuel gel mix.
Oh, yeah.
Napalm, anyone?
Yeah, like you could roll in the grass and it could just still be lit, you know? And yeah, the Mazel Tov cocktails are bad. Obviously not as bad as a bomb filled with nails. I would rather get hit with a Molotov cocktail than that. But still, terrorism happening. Did they catch the
No, nobody caught. Vanessa says my liberal cousin just sent his toddler to Paris with another family.
Oh, God.
Good choice. No, and I've traveled to Europe. Carrie has traveled around the world as well. Most of my extensive travels around the world were in Europe, Italy, Germany. Never stopped in France. Austria, went through Austria. I talked about this last week. The Italian people were so welcoming and would take you in and no big deal, no problem. So easy to attack honest people because they're not expecting you to kill them for no reason.
Yeah, I mean, whenever you're walking in just walking around in a public place, it's the default assumption by everybody that nobody's just going to randomly kill you.
Well, and when I was in sales, the most powerful weapon in the world in sales is the element of surprise.
Okay.
So if you could surprise somebody with a sale, like they didn't know, like when you go to buy a car, there ain't no surprise. You're going to get manhandled.
I can give you the example. The difference between the 9/11 hijackers and the shoe bomber, or maybe it was the underwear bomber. When that shoe bomber, I think it was the shoe bomber, when he took his shoe off and tried to light it up, it was like a swarm of the most aggressive hornet's nest of all time. That entire fuselage became a hornet's nest, and they all jumped on him, quickly and aggressively. They didn't even go through the aisle. They were like climbing over the
chairs,
seat.
yeah.
And one woman like pulled her belt off and wrapped it around his neck and started choking him and everything. And they were just beating on him. When if you look at the 9/11 hijackers, they were all kind of like, except for the last one, which was the one in that crashed in Pennsylvania. Everybody was just kind of like, all right, everybody remain calm because they're going to land this plane and they're going to ask for demands. And if everybody cooperates, we should be good. And next thing you know, boom, they're in the side of a building. But you get to the shoe bomber and it was like, oh my God, it's a terrorist!
What about the underwear bomber?
I think they did the same thing to him. He was trying to ignite his underwear. And yeah, it's like they pounced all over him. So the element of surprise was gone.
Yeah, they were ready.
Oh, yeah, everybody was ready. Everybody was ready.
So, and one of our, please share and follow things on Twitter with us. It's absolutely incredible because we could use these things on the show. One of our loyal followers retweeted this video of a woman. Her name is, the heck is that woman's name? Anyway, she's Muslim, and Sharifa Al-Khatib. Sharifa Al-Khatib. She's a friend of Bill and Hillary Clinton's. And this video was taken of her speaking to a crowd of people back in the late, early to mid 90s. I was going to say late 80s. I think there was early to mid 90s when she was giving this talk. And this is about Sharia law. This is about Islam. This is about terrorism. And this is about, 30 years ago that they were preaching this in public. Fast forward and compare this to today.
Education is one of the most important areas that Muslims have to address. And while our final objective, is not just to become part of the system that we experience now and that we see, our final objective is to create our own Islamic systems, and not only create Islamic systems for Muslims, but to look at all the other people who are sharing this country with us as potential Muslims. And if we look at them as potential Muslims and feel that we have the obligation, which Allah has told us, to try to bring them into the same style of thinking, into the same way of behaving, into the same objectives that we have, then we have to have some way that we can communicate with them and some way we can work with them. And in that long-range process of making America Muslim, all of America Muslim, then we have to have some actual short-range goals. We have to have some way of dealing with them and know how we're going to deal with them and in which ways, and be very calculated about it, or else we will not accomplish our goals.
They've been planning this forever. Islam has been planning this ever since Muhammad. Islam has been planning the takeover of the globe. It's nothing new. It's been around forever. The left just wants to hide it and keep it because in some crazy lunacy type world that they live in, they believe that bringing Islam to a peaceful country like America would somehow be beneficial for them. Not for us. They don't care about us. But whatever's beneficial for them. And my crazy mind seems to think that what they do, the more chaos, the more problems that they can artificially create, the more they believe we need them to solve that problem. So it's just another thing. Bring Islam here, cause problems, wreak havoc, and then they will stay in power in their crazy minds by saying, well, we'll fix it. We'll fix it. We got the issue. We got the problem. We'll fix this. We'll fix this. I mean, I don't know what other reason there would be other than new voters with the refugees. I mean, new voters from south of the border. I mean, other than that, that's the only thing. But Sharia law is no joke. There were protests I don't know about all week, but they started these marches around America to protest against Sharia law. And wouldn't you know, groups like CARE and ACLU, these other groups said this was wrong. You shouldn't be doing this. This is bad. And apparently they were getting a lot of blowback by saying no Sharia in America.
I don't know. Look, Sharia is the law of Islam. And we know that Islam practiced exactly the way it's been told to us it's supposed to be practiced is incompatible with Western civilization. So to be able to make those kinds of laws in America seems like it would on its face be unconstitutional, because that's the basis for Western civilization at this point is our American Constitution. So the kind of oppressive laws that you would have against women, against gays, and all that kind of stuff just doesn't seem like it would fly. I find it fascinating beyond, well, I guess I shouldn't, but it's not really that fascinating when you stop and think about it. But the left attacks Christianity for not making a gay cake or something like that. And yet they're also counter-protesting against the right when they protest against Sharia law, which would absolutely not only not make a cake, but they might not get out of there alive. A gay person coming in to try to make a gay wedding cake or order a gay wedding cake in a Sharia-compliant area where there's a Islamic baker might report that person, who would then end up on trial and possibly end up with a beheading or thrown off the top of the roof of a large building.
Right. There was some kind of breaking news that Fox News posted up. Apparently in another country, a person posted an anti-Islam, defamed the Prophet Muhammad on Facebook and was sentenced to death.
Oh, wow. I can't believe we really only have 10 minutes left?
Yeah, man.
Holy crap. We were going to talk about Ice Cube.
Fastest 3 hours.
Bill Maher and Ice Cube?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
So Bill Maher saying, I'm just a house in.
House N-word.
Yeah, house N-word.
It's funny because people talk about how he used the N-word with the ER at the end instead of the A. I don't know. We played the clip last week. It sounded like he stopped short of the ER and said A, which in context doesn't make any sense. Because he's talking about a house, whatever. And you're looking for the actual... So Bill Maher was in all this trouble. I actually support him. I think that, words are words, and words are protected by the First Amendment.
He didn't say niggerly. He did not say that.
Which is also a word that means not what you think it means.
Yeah.
It means stingy.
Stingy.
Something. Yeah, stingy.
Yeah, niggardly. Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
That's one of those words that if you said in public, you would get a reaction. But anyway, so what Bill Maher had to do, he kept low, he kept his head low. It seemed like HBO was supporting him, and by not attacking him or whatever. So he had Ice Cube come on, who is one of the founding members of NWA. He was, honestly, him and his friends were, and by the way, the N in NWA is the N word, just FYI.
Right, just a heads up.
They have attitude.
Can I get this?
CJ's Sprint Network.
Oh, we got a commercial.
Damn.
Do we get paid for that?
I was going to say it wouldn't let me mute the. I had it on mute.
Oh, so getting back to the point. So he had Ice Cube, one of the founding members of NWA, and also a producer of a lot of gangster rap.
This is from TMZ.
What made you think that it was cool to say that?
That's
one question.
I just explained. There was no thought put into it. Obviously, I was telling Dr. Dyson, comedians, they react. And it was wrong, and I apologized. And
why was it wrong?
More than that, I can't do.
I accept your apology, but I still think we need to get to the root of the psyche, because I think it's a lot of guys out there who cross the line because they a little too familiar, or they think they too familiar, or it's guys that who might have a black girlfriend or two that made them Kool-Aid every now and then, and they think they can cross the line, and they can't.
So the first part was that they're too familiar with the word. He thinks, and believe me, this is just not true. I mean, I'm a white person, and a lot of times I hang out in areas that have a lot of white people. And guess what? I sometimes run into white people that are actually racist against black people. But that word is just not thrown around like Ice Cube is making it sound. It's just not.
Well, and then there was another soundbite where Ice Cube said, well, we're taking that word back. You can't have that word. That word was used against us to put us down by the white man. And I'm telling you right now, Bill Maher, you cannot have that word. We are taking that word back.
He was pulling a power play on Bill Maher, not just because he had a problem with Bill Maher. He accepted his apology. This is actually an ally of any leftist, including a leftist like Ice Cube. By the way, remember that sound clip of Ice Cube endorsing Trump? And he got mad about it. He got really mad because it was taken it was taken out of context. But anyway, no, you can't. You can't tell us what to say and not say. Period. I don't want to say that word because I want to, not because you're telling us not to say it.
I met Bill Maher backstage, and he told me this.
I'm going to be honest. He broke me. He broke me.
Bill Maher said that?
Bill Maher said Ice Cube broke him.
So Ice Cube, if you know anything about Broncos, Ice Cube mounted him and rode him until he stopped. And he domesticated him. Oh, yeah. Yes, he did.
For a family-friendly show, that's pretty good.
Yeah, I did a pretty good job.
You mean like a Ford Bronco?
Ice Cube made Bill Maher family-friendly. Just saying. So, yeah, I mean, that's pretty much what Bill Maher became. If this was prison, he was Ice Cube's bitch. Flat out. I would have said, listen, I'm Bill Maher. I'm the king of free speech advocacy. I am the First Amendment king.
Right.
And I'm telling you right now, when you come on my show, start telling us you can't have that word in the English language you can't have. Oh, hell no. You can go blank yourself.
TJT just called it bareback.
Oh, wow. Wow. He mounted him bareback.
Right. And when you do that to a horse or a bronco, it's
when you do that to a horse.
Yeah, it gets rough. No, but it's sad. It's sad that we're in a world right now to where the left and the Democrats and the black president that we had brought back more racism.
Well, prohibiting you from saying certain words does not make you not a racist, or it doesn't solve racism.
It's funny in L.A., Hispanics, Mexicans, wherever they were from, the south of the border, would refer to me because I'm a white guy. And in South Central, El Centro.
Yeah, what they call it?
It's no longer black. It's all Hispanic in El Centro.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know that, but go ahead.
They'll talk about me or talk to me and refer to me as gringo.
Oh, you know what they used to call me?
Well, I look back at them and I say, what back?
Oh, really?
Oh, I'll say it. Yes. You going to call me a gringo?
Because to me, when I hear the word gringo, I'm not really sure if it's derogatory or not. But my Puerto Rican friends, they call me blanquito.
Yeah, white boy.
Little white boy.
Yeah, little white.
Yeah, little white boy. Blanquito.
Yeah, it's no good. I mean...
And so I would say, Blanquito, and they would be like, oh, I think he might know what that means.
Yeah, but no, it's whatever. You can call me whatever you want, but then be prepared that I'm going to call you... I mean, it's name-calling for the most part. We had this back and forth on... Larry Elder posted this up. Larry Elder's Black Talk Show host, conservative... libertarian out in L.A., and he posted this article up on Twitter, and we had a back and forth with a couple of people on this. And the biggest reason why I don't use the N-word is for the exact same reason why I don't drop the F-word.
Yeah, that's true. And you don't even say GD.
No, I don't say. And we talked about this because
it's just a civility thing. It's like Brian getting upset at somebody screaming in a bullhorn in public with children the F-word. It's just not very classy. And dropping the N-bomb is not classy.
No.
Yeah.
Not even close.
That's what it really boils down.
And there's a lot we have black friends that do not use that word.
No, they kind of. I noticed that black conservatives.
Your brother-in-law,
yeah,
does not use that word.
And black conservatives make fun of black. It's black. It's a black liberal thing. They have normalized the N-word. They say it in their rap lyrics. They sing it in their the lyrics that they of songs that they like, and they call each other that. And they do it in front of whoever. It could be other blacks. It could be white people in public. And they just drop it like it's normal language. But God forbid if they hear somebody, a white person say it.
You can't do that, man.
Yeah, apparently. How could Ice Cube, who's probably used that word more than any other single word in his entire life, tells white people that they can't have that word?
We're taking it back.
We're going to keep it.
Take it back.
Keep it. Yeah, what is that?
Only we can use that.
That's such an anti-freedom of speech.
Really?
Yeah, it's just
like I don't. Like, why would you? Oh, okay, maybe he's saying that in the sense of what we took deplorables. We took the word deplorable.
Yeah, but we wouldn't tell Democrats they're not allowed to use that word.
I laughed at it when they used it. Keep calling me deplorable.
Right.
That's right.
Right. We're not going to tell them they can't use that. So anyway.
Good times. Wow, folks, follow us all over the media sphere, if you will.
Don't forget the Patreon.
Patreon account, Smith
Please.
Radio, Smith
Yes.
Radio Patreon, Facebook Smith Radio, YouTube Smith Radio. I mean, just go anywhere, type in Smith Radio, and you will find us there. Every week, here for you, Daily Smith Radio coming soon.
Daily Smith Radio.
Hashtag Daily Smith Radio. That's what they were putting up on the message board. Hashtag Daily Smith Radio.
Oh, my gosh. We're going to have to work on that. We need Patreon.
Patreon will make that happen.
Yes. Please help us out.
Share and like with your friends.
Daily.
Till next week. Bye.
Peace out.
With unfathomable power.
What kind of power?
Unfathomable. It's without fathom.